player availability should be around noon, so we'll be kind of going from here, from Elton Cleveland Sports Show, and then probably right over your camera, wherever you want. We can do it here if you want, just for quick classes for Channel 3. You're okay with that? And I guess to start them, you can just like spray B-roll or do whatever you want. How long do they have you for? Okay, I think we should be able to get some stuff in there. Okay, great.
Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
I am live on a cloudy and cold Tuesday morning. Welcome on into the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I am your host, Adam the Bull, and as you can see, I am all alone. What has happened today? We got Mikey McNuggets and Jay out at Town Hall for a big event today. We'll send it to them in a minute. G. Bush left his phone somewhere, and so he's late. Tyvis, who's always early, driving, even though he drives in the furthest from Columbus, there was a major wreck or something on the highway, so he's late. This is wild. So G and Tyvis will do. So Earl mentioned my old intro from radio, and I said, I got to do that today. So there you go. Right now, listen, we got a lot to do. Aditi Kinkhabwala of CBS and the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is going to join us in a couple of minutes. Mary Kay Cabot live from Town Hall, and hopefully some Browns players will see. It's a free-flowing thing today, as you can tell. But right now, let's head out to Town Hall in downtown Cleveland. Bring in Jay Crawford and potentially Mikey McNuggets as well. Jay, what's going on?
Well, it's great to be with you. Are you getting the message? I think people are they don't want to spend time with you today.
That's it? I'm all alone here.
I don't know what the hell's going on with Tyvis. You're right. Tyvis is always early. We literally got a text from him in the 8 o'clock hour this morning saying, I don't know what's going on in Columbus, but there's massive traffic backups. I think there was a pretty bad accident, so he's going to be late. We are, as you said, at Town Hall, and if you're not familiar with the event that's going on, it's always the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. It's called Feed the Need. This is the 11th annual event, and here's what they do. For anybody that's eaten at Town Hall, you know it's one of the nicer restaurants in the Cleveland area. It's in Ohio City. They have terrific food, a great menu, a great atmosphere. But on this day, every year, they close their doors to the general public, and they open them to the needy. And here's the way this works. They will today, and there is probably in the range of 100 or so volunteers that are already here. They'll trickle in more throughout the day. A lot of them will be Cleveland Browns players. In the past, Joe Thomas, Bernie Kosar, Myles Garrett. There's a long list of Browns players that are active on this Browns team that will volunteer their time on Tuesday, which, as you know, Bull, and everybody in the audience probably knows, it's their off day. And they're spending their off day before Thanksgiving to come here and to feed the needy. And here's the way this works. They're gonna dish out over 4,000 meals. And it's possible that number could go even higher because we've been talking to a lot of the folks in the Cleveland Food Bank in the weeks leading up to Thanksgiving. They tell us that the need this year actually exceeds what it was in the pandemic, which is stunning to me because during the pandemic, so many people were out of work. They didn't have the money to buy all of the fixings for Thanksgiving dinner. And the need during the pandemic years was absolutely through the roof. We're told that it could actually exceed that right now. Obviously, the economy's not great. Inflation is high. And there is a need for a free, healthy meal. And it's all the fixings: turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, gravy, all of the sides that you would think of a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. And they're here, the Browns players, to help feed the needy, and we'll be here throughout the program talking to some of the Browns players that will be here. Also, this is the 11th annual here. In total, they've served over 40,000 free meals here in the 10 years preceding. Yesterday, they had the 3rd annual Town Hall Feed the Need in Columbus. They've built a second restaurant there. Bobby George is the owner. He's a very kind and gracious man and believes in giving back to the community, and that's why he does this. So before we come back, we'll come back later as we get players to talk to about both this event and the Browns season. But before we do that, a quick video clip as to exactly what this is and why this day is so important.
Unite the leaders of the city to help feed the less fortunate. Town Hall's mission is the same as my life's mission, is to love and serve.
It happens to be my favorite day of the year. We need it so bad with people today who are hungry, who are jobless, and there are so many people in this community today that need our help.
I'm grateful for all the people at Town Hall who were able to work with me today, and doing things like this is wonderful for the kind of unity we're trying to have amongst each other.
Definitely a great time to see family, a great time to give back, just be thankful for everything we have.
Thankful for Town Hall, just how much of a friendship I've gotten to build with Bobby, just being able to come here, eat dinner, just have a good time all the time, and it's been very, very peaceful, very, very exciting for me. I hope that this event is able to just inspire other people to be able to give back in their communities, whether it's here in Columbus or across the nation.
A lot of times people think of holidays as these cheerful days and time of year where we get together with our family and we eat and we share gifts and presents. But for a lot of people, this is the saddest time of year. People who don't have anything, people who don't have any family, people who might not be receiving anything. We all have the ability to help others. If we're alive and we're watching this, we have the ability to put a smile on someone's face and help others.
It's a great day. It really is. And it's a great day to help those that are in need and not as fortunate in our community. I can tell you that as I was coming in, there were buses lined up that are coming from Northeast Ohio shelters that both house and feed the needy. So on this day, when it's not great weather out, if you've been outside, you know that it's cold, it's rainy. Perhaps the people that most need these services can't get here, but Bobby George and the folks at Town Hall have arranged for transport from all of these area shelters to make sure that those that need to eat get here for this day so they can celebrate and have a good meal. Bull, it's crazy. I've done this every year since I've been home. The energy in this restaurant is palpable. You can feel it. And there's a lot of good things going on. Looking at the door, Bernie Kosar just walked in. Nice. So Bernie will be here to shovel out mashed potatoes and turkey and everything else. And again, it's just a great event. And we'll be coming to you live throughout the 2 hours. But now I know it's time to talk Browns football, and no one better to do that than you, Bull.
Thanks, Jay. Yeah, obviously a great cause, the food bank. And look who's here. G made it. Tyvis made it.
Yeah, man.
You guys
just boom, teleported.
They both ran in at like 11:02, and here we go. So yeah, there is a lot to get to. We're going to bring in a Dee Dee in just a couple minutes, but first, let's go to Anthony for the first time in for Mike.
Hello, everybody.
Go ahead.
I want to remind you all today that you can score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is absolutely no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL.
Thank you, Anthony. Tyvis, you weren't here yesterday, so I want to start with you. Do you want to make an argument or no for Joe Flacco eventually becoming the starter, or do you think the Browns should stick with DTR?
I think that right now you should ride with DTR, but, it was kind of like what we talked about last week. Get him ready to go. Get Joe Flacco ramped up and ready to go, because you never know. And obviously, last year he showed that he still had some experience. He could still get things done. Obviously, when we lost to him in the Jets game, he made some throws in that game that was pretty incredible. But right now, I ride the DTR wave right now, because you got to get him ready at some point. Let him get these live reps, and, once the season comes down to it at the end, if he starts to struggle a little bit, then, yeah, you might want to replace him with Joe Flacco. But right now, just ride the DTR wave.
G, you feel the same way? Same as yesterday? Or no?
Before I even get to this, if you guys hear me clearing my throat,
let me clear my throat.
Happy birthday, I hope you don't mind.
By the way, you hear it.
Yeah.
It's my vocal cords be bleeding sometimes. So, that's what you hear. That's just from overuse. So
you know why? Because you didn't bring my jerk chicken. That's why.
Oh,
see that right there?
Do you have leftovers?
No.
Gave it all away.
After he literally said, "I would take care of you. Don't worry about it."
Technically, I think it was Mike that said he would.
Didn't even think to bring it.
Listen, we're gonna have to set it up where we get my man Omari, and I want to do it where he brings it here.
Yeah.
I want him to cook it somewhere and bring it here.
What is his ethnicity?
Don't they have a kitchen upstairs in one of the studios?
What's his ethnicity?
He's Indian.
Okay.
Like Indian from India.
Okay.
His mom is Indian and his dad is Jamaican.
Oh yeah. Okay. So he legit.
He's like the spice. He's the spice guy.
Yeah, this is legit.
It was really good.
It was crazy.
Must be nice.
But no, I think we were talking about quarterback with the situation. Yeah. So no. I remember going back a couple of years ago. Remember, I want to say it's either 2011 or 12 when they had Brandon Wheaton. Brandon Wheaton had got hurt, and
it wasn't 11. It was definitely later than that.
Later than that,
yeah.
Okay. Well, it was the year Brandon Wheaton was here.
Yeah.
It was like in his second year, and Brian Hoyer comes in, right?
Right.
And Brian Hoyer, for, I guess, 5 or 6 games, is like lighting it up. They have a Thursday night game against the Buffalo Bills, and Brian Hoyer tears his ACL.
Yeah.
So now you got Wheaton, who you moved on from. Then you got Brian Hoyer, who was playing well, and you was like, oh, we was excited. He gets injured. So now they're down to the third quarterback. Long story short is, Mike Pettin started off very well during those few games. It looked like the Browns was going to make the playoffs, and then all of a sudden they fell apart because the guy that gave them the spark plug wasn't there anymore. So I look at this thing with DTR. Look, give him his opportunity to keep moving the chains. Give him an opportunity to keep getting better every single game. And if he can do that, you just leave him in and rock with it. But you always know that if he's playing in a game that he's playing terrible, and you got to win it, and you think Joe Flacco gives you the best chance to win on a couple drives or in a game, Joe Flacco has an experience level to do it. So I think it's the best of both worlds.
All right, guys, we're going to bring in Aditi in just a second. I will just say this as we bring her in. If this were 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, heck, if it was even last year, I'd say it doesn't matter. The Browns can't win anything anyway. But because defense, the pendulum is swung so far towards defense, and the Browns, in my opinion, have the only defense. So there's a line, I think, where okay, can you win? If your defense sucks, you got to have a great quarterback. If your defense not very good, you got to have a very good quarterback. Mm-hmm. And it balances that way. Mm-hmm. I generally don't think you can win with even an average quarterback in the past. I think you can this year. The Browns may have to try to prove that they can win with a below average quarterback, because right now that's what they have. Mm-hmm. I think their only hope of reaching average, in my opinion, is DTR at his promise. I don't think Joe Flacco at this point is even an average quarterback. Yeah. So what's the point? I think with DTR there's a chance that as you go a few weeks he can reach that average mark. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking him to be great. I'm asking him to be solid, average.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason that they brought Joe Flacco in this week opposed to last week is because Deshaun Watson's getting surgery, I think, today. So he won't.
Yeah, they want that veteran. Yeah,
he won't be on the sideline. Obviously, I listened to post game and DTR was talking about. He said when I came off the field in the second half, Deshaun would be standing there. He'd be like, "Bro, smile. No matter what, smile. Enjoy the game." And he said I needed to hear stuff like that.
And now he'll have it from a guy who's won a lot of games.
So it's another guy, set of eyes out there that when he comes off the field, he can go talk to Joe Flacco and he can tell him some things. But as far as winning and getting ready to play, I think they're just gonna let DTR spin.
Aditi Kay Cabot is with us, of course. She joins us every week.
Hey.
She is. Hi, Aditi.
How you guys doing?
Were you on the sideline last week?
No, not last week. I was not.
Okay.
Browns pulled it off without me. How about that?
Aditi, from years of covering the AFC North, obviously you know Joe Flacco.
Oh.
No? What you say?
No, she thought we were going to get right to the team.
I love Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, you know, Browns fans won't love this, but week 2 last year when he engineered that crazy comeback with the last 2 minutes, in the post-game press conference or the post-game interview, I talked to him, and then as he was walking away, I said to him, Joe, that made me feel young again. And he said, me too, because we came up in the AFC North together.
Absolutely. So but at this point, I think the Browns should keep riding with DTR unless it gets to a point where he's so bad they can't. Do you think they will do that? Do you think they should do that? And do you think Flacco will be a good locker room influence?
100%. Look, Joe, and I'll tell you a story. So week 2 last year, Joe Flacco, if you remember, there was conversation with the Jets a year ago because Zach Wilson wasn't playing. Should it be Mike White or Joe Flacco? And Robert Saleh made very clear to us why Joe Flacco was the guy in our production meeting. And so much of it had to do with him just being a grown-up in the room, him having all this experience that he's had, the steadiness that he could bring, and the mistakes that he wouldn't make. And in that Browns game, with 2 minutes left, of course, the Browns are up 2 touchdowns. It was Joe Flacco walking up and down that sideline and telling his teammates, guys, we still have time. Guys, we can still do this. Just speaking with sort of that experience. He's been in that moment before. And guess what he did? You all know what he did. Sorry, I don't mean to drive that stake in you, but this is someone that has a lot of experience. This is someone that's basically seen every single defense. This is someone that's been a pro for a long, long time and knows how to be a pro. And DTR is a wonderful, humble young man who just 3 months ago, was telling us that he didn't even know where the Browns locker room was until that first preseason game. So having a strong veteran voice in the room, in addition to Deshaun Watson, who obviously has been available to DTR as he can be, he's got that surgery and rehab coming up, I think is very, very valuable. And I agree with you. Why make a change right now? I mean, Joe Flacco has been being a dad. He's obviously in shape, but he's been being a dad. He isn't steeped in this offense right now. He hasn't been facing a live rush. I think you go with DTR for as much as you possibly can, and hopefully that's the rest of the season. Hopefully he continues to get better and stacks wins. But I think it's a great signing. And did y'all see what happened last night when Travis Kelce crashed the Monday Night Football set?
I did not.
Did you see this?
I didn't see it.
Oh, this is great. Okay, right? So RG3, last week when we got the news, RG3, as you know, earlier in the season was telling the Browns, hey, come get me. And I, just trying to have some fun last week, was sharing the information that, you know, the trade market is closed. The Browns couldn't get anyone via trade, so they'd have to get someone via free agency. And very jokingly said, you know, RG3, how are you feeling? He responded in a very funny way with a, you know, gif of him working out. And last night, Travis Kelce crashes the Monday Night Football pregame set, and he's hugging everybody, and he goes to RG3, and he says, hey, are you going to Cleveland? And RG3 responds, they just signed a Super Bowl MVP. It was great. It was like, you love live TV. Even Travis Kelce is wondering what the Browns are doing.
So, Didi, we got to get to this. We got to. I thought, you see, you knew what we was going to come with right when we started. Bull, he dropped the ball on it.
Yeah, I dropped the ball.
Matt Canada, listen.
Didi ran him out of town.
Come on now. Let's get right to it. They haven't fired a person since World War I.
Yeah.
So how did this transpire, and what is it in Pittsburgh right now? We need to hear this.
You know, gee, this is so sad, right? You never want anybody to lose a job. You never want to, I mean, what's that awful cliche, dance on a grave, right? But by the same token, you also, and this is what I sort of took so much heat for last night, I feel, Bull and I disagree on this. Bull thinks that there's enough of a body of work to say that Kenny Pickett is nothing and is never going to be anything. And I keep contending that we cannot fairly judge Kenny Pickett until he's actually been in a real NFL offense and been in meeting rooms that operate like real NFL meeting rooms operate. And so we are often very, very quick to judge. We were very quick to judge Tua. We were very quick to label CJ Stroud something. We were very quick to say Brock Purdy is not an NFL player. We do this. We cast judgment, but then you put someone in a great position to succeed, and what do? They succeed, right? And they lay lie to these narratives about them. So I don't know what Kenny Pickett will actually be, but I think right now saying Kenny Pickett is a bust is a narrative, because I don't think he's been put in position to succeed. And so my argument is, let's see what he can do with a real offense, with real coaching, with a real effort to develop him, with there not being fear in the way that he plays. You know, football is an imperfect game played by imperfect people. And I don't think that you can constantly be coached to fear throwing past the sticks, to fear throwing to the middle of the field. At some point, you have to be able to just play the game. And again, I don't know that this is an ideal situation, right? Because the Steelers are going with essentially 2 offensive coordinators. They're going to have one guy, as of now, one guy kind of set up the offense and meet with the media, and another guy be the play caller. We saw what happened in Miami when Tua in his rookie year had 2 offensive coordinators. So, you know, who knows? But I do think that certainly we should see something more out of the Steelers offense. And I think the feeling in the city, in the building, I know the feeling amongst the fan base and in that building right now is, okay, here's a chance at a fresh start. And maybe this can be done in the way that an NFL offense should be operating. I mean, we'll see. But we'll see, right? Because, again, I don't know that Kenny is a future Super Bowl champion. I just don't know that he's a bust either. I'm unwilling to write him off right now.
Let me make a quick clarification before Tyvis asks the next question. I actually agree with you that it is too soon to write him off. My point about Kenny Pickett is I never thought he was going to be good. So I'm not surprised he's not, and I don't think he will be. But I agree with your premise that he needs, if you believed in him at some point, then it's not enough time. I do agree with that. Because if I liked Kenny Pickett coming in and thought he was going to be good, I would agree with you. You need more time. So just because I don't think he's going to be good doesn't mean I'll change my opinion about how long a guy needs to prove one way or the other. So I agree with you. It's not proven yet.
Right. And Tyvis, really quickly, I know that we'll get to you, but I also think that the right situation and the right fit matters so much.
Sure.
You know, it's a conversation that I had a million times with David Carr. Does David Carr have a different career if he doesn't start in Houston behind that offensive line where he gets completely destroyed? I think that there are certain players like a Patrick Mahomes, and maybe CJ Stroud is one of these players too. I think he's proving us that too, that Patrick Mahomes is going to be great wherever he is, but you could argue that he has been greater because of working with Andy Reid. I mean, Patrick Mahomes' own father said that he was helped by spending that first year kind of as Alex Smith's understudy. I think everything in the environment around us affects who we are and who we can be. Trevor Lawrence under Urban Meyer was different than Trevor Lawrence under Doug Peterson. That's just the nature of the world we live in. We've all had good bosses, good editors, good producers, whatever it is, that believed in us, and ones that maybe didn't set us up to succeed. So the point here is, let's recognize good coaching for what good coaching is.
Well, Aditi, Kenny Pickett need to get it together because I got George Pickens on my team, and I need him to really go off. I'm going up against McNuggets this week, and it's a really big week. But that's neither here nor there. The Browns right now are in a 4-way tie for second place in the AFC. Can you believe that? First of all, and when the dust settles, where do you think they finish in the seeding of the 7 seeds? Or do you think they don't make it? Which would be asinine to think that they wouldn't make it.
And, you know, I love the way this defense is playing. I love the way that they run the ball. And I'm having a hard time thinking that they will completely and utterly collapse. Especially
if you stay on the sideline, that won't happen.
I would like to see players make tough catches for their young quarterback. Adam can speak to my blowing up his phone on Sunday as I sat on my couch about that particular topic. As he's probably.
Yes,
I'm
bringing up those texts now.
I would like to see some help around that young quarterback. I don't know where exactly they fall, but boy, the Kansas City Chiefs have looked a little vulnerable, haven't they? And they need to get some things in order. And I think, yeah, this AFC in general, Tyvis, it's sort of up for grabs, which kind of going back to the Steelers have never made a move like this. The Steelers are loath to make a move like this. People have been screaming for for Matt Canada's head all season long. There was a bye when it seemed like this could be a nice time to make this move, and it didn't happen. You have to wonder how much of the AFC actually being open this year plays into that we're not going to give up. The Steelers' point being, we're not going to give up on the year. We're not just going to cede the year, that maybe there is some development to be done and maybe there is some growth to be had. And you also hope that the other piece of it is we're not going to kill Kenny Pickett's career.
It's fascinating.
I didn't answer your question, but did you notice I filibustered?
We're going to hold your feet to the fire here. What do you say? Do you think they will pull out the division? The Ravens have a much tougher schedule than the Browns, and if both teams win out, the Browns win the division.
Really?
On the fourth tiebreaker, yes.
Yeah. I really like how Lamar's playing. I think that the Ravens have a very underrated defense. They're not necessarily getting the attention and the splash and all of that the Browns are, which is understandable, obviously. But they're still playing really good defense. I think Lamar is playing as well as I've seen him play. And even though I am saying to you, the Browns still have a path to the playoffs and to winning games in the postseason, a game or two in the postseason, I think that when you get really deep in the season and in the postseason, you do need a quarterback who can win games for you. And I'm more ready or willing right now to say that Lamar is that guy than a rookie DTR who has 2 starts under his belt is.
Certainly fair.
If you're pressed to ask me right now, I think the Ravens win the division and the Browns make the playoffs.
That's reasonable.
And obviously it's just about getting in. It's just about getting in the dance. So that should be the most important piece here. But I don't know. It's hard to doubt the Ravens right now. Sorry.
Didi, two-pronged question here. Even though they say in the industry you never ask 2 questions, you only gonna get one half answer.
I asked 3 earlier.
Do you think the Bengals are finished? And 2, are you starting to worry about Joe Burrow and his long-term health?
No, because I think that these are all different things. I hate the injury-prone tag. Right? Like, I just think that sometimes it's fair. Like, think about a guy like JOK who said, you know what, I need to put on just a little bit more weight, not enough to get rid of my speed, but to perhaps create more availability. I love how quickly you do that. But JOK has, I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 more pounds on him. It's not discernible. It's not that much, but it's enough that he just feels a little bit more sturdy. And okay, now we're not talking about him being so injury prone. I think that you have a series of different injuries, and sometimes that's just really bad luck. And I don't know what Joe Burrow can do differently. It's not like he plays recklessly. It's not like he's hyper lean. Christian McCaffrey's another guy that changed his training to try to stay healthier. It's something that we talked about with him last year and how he was going to Marshall Faulk and saying, okay, what can I do better to stay stronger? I'm not worried about Joe Burrow at the moment. I think this is very bad luck. Are the Bengals done? I think that they probably have the toughest road up ahead of them. And that's just because they don't have the defense that the Steelers or the Browns do. And by that, I mean a game-changing defense that can pull out a game for you. But I mean, it's hard to count them out. There's a lot of veteran players on that team that have won and know how to win. But Joe Burrow is the straw that stirs that drink, so that one's really hard.
Didi, let me answer as well. I have zero concern about Joe Burrow going forward. The Bengals are done. They're not. There's no chance they're going to the playoffs.
And this is coming from a Bengals fan.
And I don't agree. I think their defense is actually not close to the Browns, but I think it's close to the Steelers. I don't think the Steelers' defense is that much better than the Bengals. I'll grant you it's better, but I don't think it's only because the Bengals are inexperienced in the secondary. But it's been improving.
Really?
You got to make choices sometimes and let people walk. It's all right. Their guys are getting better.
Who said that earlier in the season?
Trey Hendrickson is the most
Yeah, no,
underrated
but you know what? To Tyvis's point, I thought that Jesse Bates and Von Bell leaving was going to be utterly devastating. You know, I thought that it would really change that defense tremendously, especially because of the leaders they were too. You know, but I mean, things take time. Young players develop, and Duke Tobin clearly had to make an estimation, as you said, and it worked, a calculation, and it worked for them. You might be right about defense on the whole for 60 minutes. I just think the Steelers have that splash ability. You know, you need some big game-changing play from T.J. Watt, and he could do it. You need a touchdown. You need T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith to somehow connect in some way on a touchdown, and they can do it. You need Minka to pick off some crazy pass, and it can happen. Oh, that's totally random. But, guys, did you see what Jalen Carter did yesterday?
Yeah, almost picked that spike.
That's crazy.
Well, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like a player that can take a chance and do something crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so like a Minka, a TJ, you can see that sort of happening. I don't know that the Bengals have that sort of a guy that can change a game in a moment with one play like that.
I disagree.
I don't. I think that
I
might
would say
be
Trey Hendrickson and Logan Wilson are those kind of players.
No, because
I'm not saying he's as good as T.J. Watt, Trey Hendrickson, but I don't think he's that far off. I think he's the most underrated defensive end in the league.
He's not.
But enough on the Bengals.
I mean,
Let's get back. Enough on the Bengals.
Well, Tyvis, to your point, you're talking about Bull being a fan. I mean, isn't that what fans are? They are the extremes. Either everything is amazing and I'm sticking my head in the sand, or everything is awful and there is no reason or logic to be seen behind anything that I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it is sort of the extremes.
Well, no, because I'm a Browns fan, but I'm also a realist.
Well, you say I'm not realistic? What am I not realistic about?
You just said
that
Trey Hendrickson and Logan Wilson
are playmakers. I didn't say
it's a difference.
I didn't say they're as good.
Yeah, but a
TJ
playmaker
Watt.
on the level of a TJ Watt.
That's what I'm saying,
Aditi.
It's blasphemy.
I think Trey Hendrickson is one notch below TJ Watt and one level below, and I think that's a high enough level to still be a big playmaker. I agree with you.
And how many people are in the first level? Are you talking about like 3 guys at level 1 or like a dozen guys at level 1?
No. Level 1 is like 3-4 guys. And then level 2 is probably about 8 guys, including Trey Hendrickson. I mean, outside of Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, T.J. Watt, and maybe, what's his name, Crosby.
Nick Bosa. Are you talking about ends?
Micah Parsons.
I mean, I think Trey Hendrickson is good as those other guys. As good as the Bosas.
Next,
crazy.
Anyways, Aditi, because he crazy.
I'm crazy.
Yeah, you are.
At least Hendrickson stays on the field. Bosas can't stay on the field.
You gonna do that?
No, I think.
Anyways, listen. Is the defensive player of the year? Is that package? Should they just package it up right now and give it to Myles Garrett because it's like should be over with?
Ooh, I think T.J. Watt would have an argument with that, don't you think?
Not right now.
Do you think when it's all said and done, people will compare them like LeBron and Jordan, Myles Garrett
I think
and T.J. Watt?
Yes, I do. I really do. I think
that's how they talk
in the same division. I think the bad blood between the two teams. I think how close they are, 2 hours apart. I think it's sort of inevitable. And it's a little bit ridiculous because they really don't play the same position. I mean, they're both pass rushers, but one's an outside linebacker and one's a defensive end. But even still, I think that's the nature of it. At least it's what's been blowing up my mentions for a good, 4 or 5 years. So there you go.
T.J. Watt had a game like that? I guess he did. I didn't even 6
Yeah, I don't know. I think Myles Garrett is clearly the leader, but you can't say it's over. There's like 2 months of the season left.
Right. Yeah, there's still a lot of football to be played. So let's see. And often, it's the splash. It's not always the numbers. I remember the year before T.J. Watt won DPOY, he was second to Aaron Donald. And I remember sitting with my husband, and he was like, oh, T.J.'s going to get it. T.J.'s numbers are so much better. And I said, no, Aaron Donald's going to get it. And he did. It's not always about the numbers, but T.J. has historically had more of the splashy, the interceptions, the forced fumbles, the fumble recoveries, the things like that. But I think we've seen more of that out of Myles Garrett. And if you were putting together a highlight tape, you'd have to put him leapfrogging over a man and then leaping again to block a field goal. Right?
Right.
What's your favorite play this year?
And again, as I've said many times on this show, Aditi, when it comes to Myles Garrett versus T.J. Watt, their numbers career-wise are very similar. They're basically identical. But here's the big difference. Before this year, Myles Garrett played with nobody. And T.J. Watt's always had better teammates
somebody
until this year. That's a huge difference.
But again, this is my point. This is about fit. You know, I remember when TJ was drafted and people were like, oh, is this a reach? And is he just JJ's brother? And it was like, you know what? This is the perfect guy for this defense and this organization. And this guy is perfect for this organization and this defense, going both ways. He was a perfect fit for the Steelers and the Steelers were a perfect fit for him. And look at what's happened. So maybe someplace else he would have been a first-round reach. Maybe someplace else he wouldn't have been the right fit. He's been perfect for the Steelers. And part of why the Steelers have been perfect for him is because of what you said, because there's always outside linebacker. There's always a focus on the outside linebacker position, the way that they are signed and the way that they are drafted and the way that they play are deployed.
I just think if they were drafted by the opposite team, their numbers wouldn't be close. Myles Garrett would be much better, in my opinion. We'll never know that. But if Myles had been drafted by the Steelers and Watt had been drafted by the Browns, I think Myles Garrett would have much better numbers than T.J. Watt. You think that's fair?
But I think that, I don't think that that's unfair. I don't. I mean, you look at all the success that Cam Hayward has had. But again, this goes back to the whole beginning of our conversation. These are all hypotheticals, right? Is Cam Hayward a multiple-time All-Pro if he's playing in a different city, right? You know, I again, like we could keep kind of going through this. Is Bryce Young a different quarterback if he's got better players around him, better receivers and a better line and, you know, all of that? All of these are kind of speculative and hypotheticals. And you as a player just hope that you end up in the right place and that you have a staff and an environment that is interested in and can indeed foster your development and your growth.
Aditi, great stuff as always. Good to get you in today. Thanks for joining us. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you guys. Thanks for having me, guys.
Good luck with a 13-hour drive to New Jersey from Pittsburgh tomorrow. The worst day to drive. See ya.
What do you mean? Why would it be 13 hours?
Driving to the New York, New Jersey area the day before Thanksgiving is the worst. When my wife and I moved out here in 2011, we moved here in August of 2011.
I was a junior.
That first Thanksgiving, we drove to New Jersey. And where my wife's parents live is pretty close to Manhattan. And it was the worst drive ever. And I said to my wife, I am never doing this again.
You said, was it on?
We have not gone to New Jersey since.
On a Tuesday or a Wednesday before?
Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad driving day, period. But in the New York area, it's bedlam. Bedlam. Anthony, we're going to talk to Mary Kay Cabot shortly. First, let's talk to you. What do you got for us?
Yeah, guys, I want to remind everybody that you can score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on all the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-under, and more. So you guys can go visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL, and we do have a FanDuel ticket today coming to us from a friend called CDubs711 on Twitter. They put together a 19-leg parlay. They turned $3.77 into $287.94. So shout out to CDubs. Congratulations on your bet. Thank you, FanDuel.
The latest, as of this morning, the line. I'm gonna look at the updated line on FanDuel
for the Cavs or the Browns.
Cavs, the Browns.
I'm about to put me a Cavs parlay together. It's gonna happen tonight.
The Browns opened as a 1.5-point dog against the Broncos. I thought the money would come in on the Browns. It has not. The Browns are now a 2.5-point dog at Denver. Now, to be fair, Denver's playing well also.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I love the Browns in this game. I'll be surprised if the Browns lose. But I shouldn't be because they have an unproven quarterback who could screw it up, but I feel pretty confident.
It's the altitude.
They've not traditionally played well in Denver.
I think that's meaningless. I mean, when's the last time how often have they played there? They've never played with most of these guys.
It's overrated,
yes,
but it's just one of those human things that's sticking the bottom of your stomach. Like,
that's true.
You'd be like, well, even though it's like playing the lottery. Like, you can play the lottery every single day with the same number, and you still have the same chances of taking an L based on just the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But so, like, if you look at the Browns going out to Denver, it's different people, it's different coaches, it's different players.
Yeah.
It just sticks with you. Like, it's like that head canon that you do. Like, you know what?
Sure.
Maybe it's something to it, but no, it isn't really anything to it. It's going to be. It comes down to this: how many points are they going to be able to score?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know this is obvious, but I feel like I'm going to be saying this about the Browns. People say this all the time, but for the Browns, more than any other team, it's the most meaningful thing. If they don't turn the ball over, they got a great chance to win, because any team right now, or most teams in the NFL, maybe not every team, but most teams in the NFL, if not all, are going to have a hard time scoring touchdowns against the Browns if they have to go 70 to 80 yards.
Mm-hmm.
If you give them a short field, you're going to give up some points. What are you going to do? But if you don't turn the ball over, and last week DTR had one turnover, I don't blame him. It was a tipped ball off the receiver. He didn't throw any dangerous passes, I thought. And if they stay at – now, again, the Broncos have been forcing a lot of turnovers, which is why they've played better. And I think they have the longest winning streak in the league right now at 4, believe it or not. And Russell's playing decently. But I don't know. I feel good about the Browns and DTR. Maybe I'm crazy.
I mean, no, you're not crazy. Like I said, you got to give Denver their respect because the slick-haired dude is playing really well as of late. You got to. So defensively, they've turned it on for sure. I mean, obviously, guys have gotten healthy. I just see my boy K-Jack get suspended for 4 games.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm like, hey.
Like he's playing 30.
Jack, what are you doing?
I mean,
why
this
would
dude
you put your head down?
He's
like
diving in people's faces.
And then Justin Simmons is like, that's my boy, and he's on Twitter trying to justify it. I'm just like,
he's headbutting people.
Anyways, they've been playing a lot better. That altitude thing, like I said, I played in Denver for half a year. I didn't see a difference when I got there, to be honest with you. I didn't, like, my stamina was still pretty good. But it
was.
Huh?
It was.
Pause.
Super.
What's wrong with y'all, man? I'm trying to explain something here. Y'all gonna go there. Anyways, I do like the Browns. The way the Browns are playing right now, it's a new meaning. DTR got to get more chemistry with his receivers because some of them passes he threw was behind. He was like a little late on them. So he's got to get more chemistry and understand the timing of that. Obviously, they're going to do a great job of disrupting that. But I like if they run the ball effectively, which I think the Browns can do against the Broncos, which was something that didn't happen against Pittsburgh, even though they had a bunch of injuries to the linebackers and safety position. They run the ball effectively. I think DTR could have a really good game. I don't see nobody. Well, I guess PS2 is there for Amari Cooper, but Elijah Moore's got to step up and make plays. That's to me is the key. And David Njoku can't drop the ball. Those two things happen. Elijah Moore and David Njoku step up. We're good.
They ran like 4 plays, Tyvis. Like, you watched all 22? They ran stick routes, speed outs.
Yeah, they ain't let him put.
Cleared it out backside and ran
what's
slants.
crazy?
That was it.
He got one of the strongest arms, and they didn't let him push the only time you see him.
First game, you didn't need to score a lot to beat the Steelers.
The only time he pushed the ball down the field was the first pass he threw to Elijah Moore in that last-minute drive.
Right.
He had some zip on that ball.
Well, that's part of the reason
that's part of the
dropped the ball, I think.
You think he's throwing it too hard?
No, but Njoku's got to adjust to it, right? He's throwing harder.
Listen, you in the NFL to be a
I'm not making excuses.
I can't believe you can't catch that.
I like that he took responsibility. He said he didn't play well enough after the game.
I'm not bashing him for it. I'm just saying, like,
no, he's got to do a better job.
He's been practicing with this man all week.
That was a problem for him early in his career was the drops, and he's been until this last week he'd been had not been a problem.
You got to secure the catch. You got to throw up the rock, catch it, tuck it, then make a move.
Let me run something by you. Like, let me see what you think about this theory. My theory was You know, they wanted to get it to the last second. They wanted to get it to the fourth quarter where they didn't give Pittsburgh enough time to come back like they usually do and steal the thunder. Now, my thing was, I think he limited the vertical routes because the first 3 quarters, he wasn't pushing the ball nowhere. Like, it was just the same little routes and sit-down stuff.
Which is cool because
they
all the receivers, especially Coop, that's where he's most effective anyway.
So when you look at the fourth quarter, that throw to Elijah Moore, it almost seems like when defenses get into like prevent, I don't want to say prevent, but when you're in the last drive, defensive coordinators are put in a conundrum. They understand that, yes, they have only been throwing short all game, but if you unleash those longer routes, coordinators are like, I don't know if I want to play man-to-man coverage because if it's single coverage, he could just throw a 50-50 ball up there, and that's a 60-yard penalty. So they tend to back off a little bit, and they tend to chill out a little more because they don't want the deep passes, which then gives you enough opportunity to throw the routes that were there earlier. So it was almost like, yeah, we know we weren't giving you no routes, but this last drive, you're going to get these routes, and you're going to give us some cushion. And he almost banked on the fact that he'd be able to move the ball kind of counterintuitively when it shouldn't be that easy to do. Like, especially against defensive corners.
Well, yeah, but like you say, in the last 2 minutes, the only thing that's on the DB's mind is don't let nothing go over my head. Give up something in front of me, rally and tackle. So when Elijah Moore does a 12-yard curl or whatever you want to call it, yeah, I'm going to get that up. And DTR did a great job of threading the needle in there. That's going to be open in 2-minute drives. But you got to keep a defense honest throughout the course of a game by at least, pushing the ball down the field, because after the first quarter, if I see, all right, they not doing nothing. Second quarter, they still not doing nothing, I'm flat-footed. I'm sitting at the sticks and I ain't moving. But you gotta have big cojones to do that.
This is what I liked about this, is that Stefanski said, I don't need to do that against the Steelers. They can't score against us.
I agree.
We don't need to score a lot of points. You're right. As the games go on, you play Houston, you play Jacksonville, teams that have the ability to score more, you are going to have to, because you're not going to be able to win scoring 10, 13 points against every team. But the Browns defense is good enough that Stefanski, I think, knows he could do a slow build with DTR. All right, now DTR's got to be way more confident going into this Denver game than he was going into the Steeler game. Denver's, not as good as defensively. And it wasn't like his only start had been terrible against Baltimore. Well, now he was okay in this start. So now he's a little more confident, He showed some good decision-making. I think every week he'll let him do a little more because eventually, yes, there are going to be games where the Browns need to score 20 or 24 or maybe even 27 to win, and he's got to be able to do it. But he didn't need to do it this past week.
I'm not criticizing the game plan. Let's be fair, I'm not criticizing. I'm saying at some point, though,
absolutely,
you gotta do, because it's a confidence thing. And I wanted to see him catch. I wish David Njoku would have caught that touchdown, because his confidence would have been through the roof after that.
Well, hopefully that'll happen this week.
They better
continue to build. We're going to go back to Town Hall in just a little bit. Obviously, our own Jay Crawford and our own Mikey McNuggets are down at Town Hall for the big event, Feeding the Homeless with the Cleveland Food Bank, which is a great event that happens every year. Mary Kay Cabot at Cleveland.com is going to join Jay in just a little bit and join us. Hopefully we'll have some Browns players later. Apparently Denzel Ward stopped by, said he had to, he's going to go serve some food and then hopefully come back. It's a little crazy there, so we don't know if we're going to get the players. We'll see what happens. We have Mary Kay yet or not yet?
No, it's a little chaotic down there, guys. So I'm going to ask you, do you want to do the PFF grades right now?
Why don't we do that? Yeah, let's
do
the
PFF
grades. Yeah.
And we'll get to that. Steve, can I?
It's chaotic, all right.
Every week we play a new game with the PFF grades, and this week's game is going to be Anthony's going to give us a grade of a Browns player, and we have to say whether that grade was their grade against the Steelers this past week or back in week 2 when obviously the Steelers won the game.
Let's do it. So our first player up. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
All right, we're going to go with Myles Garrett. He's got a 90.2. Was that week 2 or week 11?
Dang, that's a good one.
I mean, he probably has around that for both weeks.
I'm going to say week 11.
I'm going to say week 2.
I'm saying week 2 also. I'm with G.
All right, so we got 2 week 2s and a week 11. Tyvis. You are correct. That was our week 11.
What was he week 2?
He was week 2. He had a 91.7 overall defensive grade.
Yeah.
I want to clarify. Mike made these up. So
Okay.
if I'm
That-
looking at
that
week
feels
2
like a Mikey McNugget
real
special.
quick, that's why.
All
I
right,
don't
number
have
2.
all the numbers.
Yeah.
All right, next up is Dalvin Tomlinson with a 43.9.
Jeez.
Which week was that? Week 11 or week 2? Or week 2?
That's just 43.6.
43.6.
Week 11.
Yeah, that got to be 11.
Did he have a bad game?
I
They
ran-
couldn't run up the middle at all. The only running they did was Warren on the outside. I don't remember the first game how well they ran,
I don't either.
but I'll say that was week 2. They said week 11. I said week 2.
All right, so you're week 2. Those two are week 11. It is, in fact, week 11.
Oh, wow.
Week 2, he had a
Terrible grade.
69.4 overall.
Bunch.
Is it? I don't recall. I mean, the only big run was the Jalen Warren, and
That was on
wasn't-
the outside.
Yeah, that
What would
wasn't
that have to
him.
do with him?
I don't know.
Might
I
have been
guess
get-
he was just getting his
Might have
dominated in the middle.
been getting reached.
Must have been.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I mean, I don't remember him making any big plays in the game.
No.
Yeah, he didn't.
All right, go ahead, Anthony, number 3.
All right, so number 3 is Ogbo Okoronkwo. I think is that how you say that? Is at 80.8. Is that week 2 or week 11?
Dang, I don't remember him in week 2.
I think he played really well this
Gotta
week.
really
He
think.
definitely played really well.
Who do we play week 2?
Pittsburgh.
Did you just ask who we played
Really?
week 2?
Yeah, that was crazy. That was wild.
I'm gonna say week 2.
That was wild there.
It should be week 2 because so far the first 2 have been week 11.
I'm gonna go week 11.
I'm going week 11. I think the sign in the background is a clue.
Yeah, it is, right?
Oh, wow. Mike picked a great photo for that.
Wow.
It is, in fact, week 11.
Yep.
Week 2. Or, I'm sorry, that's week 2.
Come on, Anthony.
Backwards in my
on
head.
the road.
Everybody was tripping on that one.
I'm on the road, baby.
That sign
She asking who we played week 2 really threw me through a loop. I'm so
I thought
sorry.
it had to be week 2 because the first 2 were 11.
What did he? What did
No,
he?
it is
what did he
it's
stop
week 2.
on?
Why do you keep doing
He
that?
had an 80.8, and then on week 11, he had a 70.8.
Oh.
What you
It was
gonna
10
do
points lower.
where McNuggets charted where it's all the same thing?
Yeah, I don't know. He's going to do that eventually. Go ahead, Anthony.
All right, next up, we got JOK at 48.5. Is
Ooh.
that week 11 or week 2?
I don't remember him really in this game, to be
At
quite
all.
honest with you.
I'm gonna give him this game because I know he missed a couple tackles.
Yeah, I'm going to go 11.
This one.
11 across the board.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'll go 11 too.
All right, let's see. 11 across the board. Were you all right or were you all wrong? You were all right.
Oh,
It is
you
week
knew
11.
that.
I don't have his week 2 number pulled up right now.
Man, the
but-
Browns got 2 terrible grades on defense this week, and they still dominated.
Our coach used to say you doing that Olay tackle.
Yeah.
So running back, cutback, you doing
Was
this.
he? I really don't recall him in the game.
Yeah,
I mean, I know he played.
he didn't have a
but
standout
He
game.
didn't
no.
do a thing.
No.
Did he miss on the Warren tackle too? No, who missed right at the line?
He missed on Warren in the hole. I know.
Yeah.
I saw him do that.
Somebody got
Greg Newsom missed on that tackle, the long
Oh,
one.
that was Greg Newsom.
And then
yeah, right.
McLeod took one of the worst angles
Yeah,
I've
that
ever
was
seen.
bad.
And
And
got
somebody,
cooked.
and somebody got reached on that. One of the, I think I don't know if it was Taki or
It was Zadarius Smith.
Somebody, one of them linebackers didn't get over the top and stayed on the inside, and he just found that seam and phew, was out of there.
Anthony, next up.
All right, so next up we have Amari Cooper, 81.9. Was that week 2 or was that week 11?
I'm going to say week 11 because
I'm gonna say week 11 because I don't remember him getting no touches in Pittsburgh.
yeah, I feel like that was just one bad game maybe.
And he
if I
caught
remember correctly.
all the rocks this game. Well, he did have a ball
Hey,
go
y'all
off his
make,
hand.
y'all
That's
make
true.
a great point. I'm trying to think about week 2.
Are you going to cave into peer pressure here?
You know what? Somebody got to be on the opposite end. I go week 2.
All right, Ty. You went on the opposite end? You were correct. That is week 2. You got 81.9 week 2.
Tyvis is doing well in this game.
I don't think I missed one yet.
Hold on.
I don't know. Earl, are you keeping score?
I ain't missed
Earl's
one.
not keeping score. So
No, we don't
I
keep score
ain't
in this
missed
one.
one yet, man. This is sad.
What did he do this week?
He had a 59.2 this week.
Really?
Overall.
I don't know. These grades are pretty bogus. Go ahead. Next.
All right, you can take it up with Mike when he's back from town hall.
I
All right,
don't
next
know,
up is
man.
Jerome Ford, 78.1. Is that week 2 or is that week 11?
If
That's week 2.
If that's week 11, then PFF is now dead to me.
Yeah, like he
didn't do anything.
It's been dead
He
to
didn't do
me.
So is that a week 2 across the
It's
board?
going to be
answer,
week
guys?
11 because this is a
It's-
Mike fake
it
right
has to
here.
be week
I'm going
2.
week 2. Week 2.
All right, guess what?
Yeah.
It's week 2.
Yeah.
All right.
Week 11, he had a 54.3 overall.
Didn't he have like a long run in week 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Guys,
did.
when you watch the film on him, there be holes like his peripheral vision is just not.
In my opinion, he's had one good game against Baltimore. That's how I see it.
He
did well when Nick Chubb went down against Pittsburgh.
He runs into too many stacks.
In the Colts game, he had the one long run.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think
like the Ravens game, he was consistently good the whole game. All right, next up, Anthony.
All right, so this is actually our last one for the day that at least Mike made up. We can do more if you guys want.
No.
But I've got Wyatt Teller, 80.9. Which week was that?
11.
That's 11 because I bet he got a 90
I'm about to say
this week.
He been balling. 11.
So wait, are you going with week 2?
Two.
You're going with week 2.
I'm going week 2.
You
going 11?
I'm going 11.
All right.
All right, so we got 2 11s. Tyvis, is that your final answer?
No, I'm going week 2. I'm not going.
Yeah, you're going 2,
okay.
but it's 2 11s. Is this Tyvis, or are you going with the week 11?
It don't matter. I go 11.
I think you got a 90 something this week.
All right, 2 of you are right, and it's you two with week 11.
There you go.
2 of you were right.
I was 100%. That's crazy.
Week 2, he had a 74.3.
Hey,
you're very good at that game.
PFF is dead to me. So.
And yet you're good at the PFF game.
Yeah, you nailed that one, Tyvis.
The one that the belt's not on the line, I do.
All right, go ahead, Anthony. What do you got for us now?
Before we move on to our next topic, guys, I want to remind all of you guys that we have our TV segment every Friday at 11:30 or 12:30, excuse me, on WKYC. We take all of our exclusive Browns content, brand new, fresh stuff, for 30 minutes over on TV. You can go watch us on WKYC if you have the channel, or if you're out of market, you can watch it on WKYC Plus, and you can go check us out over there. We love the support. We love that all of you are willing to follow us off of YouTube, and we look forward to seeing you there Friday.
Do any of y'all eat McDonald's?
Yeah.
I mean, I have. I don't eat it regularly.
What was the last time you ordered some nuggets from there?
Not too long ago.
Probably like
a couple weeks.
3 weeks ago.
Was it the same? Like, do you?
I feel like they're not as good.
Do you look at that and be like, "This is McNugget"?
I feel like it doesn't. Oh, like him? Yeah. No, I don't even think about that. Yeah.
No, like you're eating McNuggets.
Yeah.
This is McNuggets.
Let me ask you guys about Matt Canada here, because what I love about this, I mean, I wish they didn't fire him because I wish Matt Canada would stay there. But what I love about this firing of Matt Canada is that for how many years, G, did the Browns lose a game to the Steelers? It seemed like the Browns were always playing the Steelers week 17. It'd be in Cleveland. It'd be 3/4 Steeler fans. The Browns would have another 5-11 season or 4-12 season, and the Browns coaching staff would get fired. We've seen so many games over the years where the Browns sucked and they lose to the Steelers and the coaches get fired. And for once, I mean, the Steelers don't suck, but they're not as good as the Browns. But their offense sucks, and the Browns essentially were the final straw to get Matt Canada fired. It's a nice change of pace, isn't it?
I love this because we've been force-fed that narrative. We've been force-fed that lineage, the Rooneys, and just let's marvel at the stability that they provide. Let's marvel at the consistency in which they've won football games in Pittsburgh. They have an identity. They have a way of doing. Shut up. Shut your mouth. Listen, I am glad you're getting rid of folks now. And Mike Tomlin, I'm glad you walk around with these aviator glasses on and these gold chains, like you
Black
from
Forces,
Black Air Force, like you from New Jack City, and walking around like you Nino Brown. You can get fired too.
No,
I'm tired of these dudes. I want all bad things to happen to them. Thank you for firing your coach mid-season. I love when Najee Harris is sitting here confused. You need to be confused. Warren's the better back. What are you talking about? I'm confused. We need to figure it out. They need to figure out how to give your carries through Cash App to Warren. That's exactly what they should be doing. I'm just excited, Bull, because these dudes is trash. They don't have a quarterback. They're spinning their wheels, and they're at the best. They're at the place
I love it.
where we know We know what that feeling is. Where you got a quarterback and you're trying to talk yourself into it. You got to.
That's right.
You're trying to
We've
just
been there
talk
many
yourself.
times.
Yes. Keep talking yourself into it. We love where you're at.
We'll talk more about this in a little bit. We've got Mary Kay down at Town Hall, but first to Anthony.
Yeah, before we bring in Mary Kay, guys, I want to remind you one more time that score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, you customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Wow. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's absolutely no better time to get in on all the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. You guys can go visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL.
All right, we go to Town Hall. Jay Crawford is there all day for the big event, and I think he's got Mary Kay Cabot with him. Jay, are you with us?
You got me, Bull?
We got you. How's it going down there?
It's going incredibly well. There's so many volunteers. There's probably, I don't know, maybe 100 in total. Denzel Ward is here. He's dishing out meals to the needy. Mary Kay Cabot, how cool is that to see? Because I think the smiles on the volunteers' faces are bigger than the smiles on the faces of the folks that need the meal.
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you what. I come to this every single year. It's such a heartwarming event. It's a wonderful, wonderful event. So many players show up and give their time today, and the people in Cleveland absolutely love it. It's just a wonderful, wonderful event, and I know you can bring down coats and donate some things like that as well. So it's really nice to see these Browns players doing this and other Cleveland sports figures doing it. And I'll tell you what, this is such a great Browns team for, giving back to the community. They are so genuine about it. It's really cool to watch.
I wanted to touch with something on the Browns camaraderie. You've talked about it before, and really how this started back at training camp when Coach Stefanski decided to take the team to Greenbrier to Bond. We had Jim Tressel on a short while ago, and Coach Tressel said the one thing that really jumps out to him about this Browns team is that, and he gave us an example when Dustin Hopkins missed the extra point against Baltimore. He said he noticed that Myles Garrett came up to him and said, look, don't worry, we're going to put you in position to kick a game-winning field goal. He told us don't underestimate the power of locker room, of 63 together. What have you seen? Because you go behind the curtains every day. What do you see in this team's chemistry and how that can make a difference?
Well, I'll tell you what, it reminds me of the Bernie Kosar years. It reminds me of those AFC championship years. And I do see what it's really like. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't like this last year. I can promise you that. I remember sitting in Baltimore where I heard in the locker room players screaming at each other after the loss in Baltimore, yelling at each other.
Wow.
Okay. Now, this year in Baltimore, after the game, it was all yelling for each other and screams of joy. There are so many examples of that. Myles Garrett, after the game on Sunday, he talked about that. And he was, Myles doesn't BS anybody about this stuff. He said, we're all in this together. We're all pulling for each other, and it hasn't always been like that. And we could just point to last year where we know some players, I'm not going to name names right now, but we know some players that were, maybe not all in on the program.
Bull, I know you got a question back there at the studio, and I'm pretty sure that Mary Kay can hear you so far away.
Steve? Yeah, okay. Mary Kay. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, because we were just talking. Can you hear me okay, Mary Kay? I know it's loud there.
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. I know we were just talking about it. I don't know if you heard, but after so many years of Browns coaches getting fired after a loss to the Steelers, what's it like hearing that Matt Canada gets fired after a loss to the Browns?
I'll tell you what, it's a sea change. It's a sea change in the AFC North. The Cleveland Browns have arrived, and they're going to stay here for a long time.
Wow.
This is the best defense I've ever covered. I think that this defense can take them. I mean, if they get clean quarterback play, this defense can take them as far as they want to go this season. It's that good. But to hear something like that, I mean, you can see that the tide has changed. And I'll tell you what, I don't know many offenses that would want to face this Cleveland Browns defense in the playoffs. When I watched the game last night, I was thinking, Kansas City's beatable.
I said the same thing. Their offense, Mary Kay, does not scare me like it has in years past. Now their defense is much better.
Yes.
We had when Jim Tressel was here, I asked him about, and I tried to say this as complimentary as I could, but I said, we have been talking for the last week or so about how the path for the Browns moving forward is to play Tressel ball. And he smiled, and I said, they've got the kicker, they've got the punter, they certainly have the defense. And he said the same thing you did. In today's NFL, that can win games, and that can take you a long way. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. The corollary to that, and the thing that they must get is, as I mentioned, clean quarterback play.
Right.
They can't get the giveaways, because I'll tell you what, that Pittsburgh Steelers team, if they had gotten one more takeaway, it's game over. Good night, Irene.
Yeah.
And they were not able to get that one more takeaway that they needed to bring that game home for themselves.
Difference in DTR from start one to start two. What did you see?
Well, he was ready for the big moment this time. He was not ready for the moment the first time around. Everybody to a man believed that Deshaun Watson was playing in that game. He told everybody he was playing in that game. He believed he was playing in that game. And I'll tell you what, athletes think they're invincible. So he really did believe that. He wasn't trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. He thought he was going to play. And DTR believed that. So when you believe that your QB1 is playing the game, you're not as meticulous about your preparation. You're just not. And he wasn't. Now, this week or last week, every single time I saw him in the locker room, he had that play sheet in his hand.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he did everything that he possibly could to be ready for that game. And here's another important factor in that game. And this is why I think it was important to bring in Joe Flacco. When he threw the pick, he started to go into the tank. He said, I almost lost it.
Wow.
Yes, he said, I almost lost it. And who raced in to help him pick that chin up off the floor? Deshaun Watson. Deshaun noticed the bad body language. He noticed that his rookie quarterback was going down the tubes. And he yanked him right back up out of there. And he got him on the road to be able to do what he did on the final drive.
Fantastic. Before we let you go, what's the ceiling for DTR? You talk about clean quarterback play. What is his ceiling, though, as if he continues to improve? I mean, the DTR we saw in the preseason and at UCLA has much more capabilities than what we were able to see on Sunday.
Yes, absolutely. The game plan was so conservative on Sunday that they really put the clamps on DTR, not just from a throwing standpoint, but even from a running standpoint. Right. They did not let him just take off running and, have an opportunity to perhaps get strip sacked.
Is that because of the fear of injury too?
Well, not so much the fear of injury, because the Browns don't really live in their fears that way, but the fear of T.J. Watt taking his head off and sacking him and stripping the ball out of there. You saw how T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith won the first game for the Steelers, and the Browns were determined not to let that happen. So in addition to not letting him take chances downfield, they didn't let him go zipping around.
Right.
They didn't want him out, on the perimeter somewhere, getting that ball raked out of there by T.J. Watt.
Maybe lengthen the leash a little bit each week.
Yes.
And see what he can do.
Yes.
Mary Kay, terrific stuff as always. We love having you on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays to you and your wonderful family.
You too. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks, everyone.
The Hall of Famer, Mary Kay Cabot, with some really good insight. Guys, I think the thing that she touched on when you talk about what's the ceiling with this team, we're going to find out as we go forward week to week, and as they do lengthen the leash on DTR, if he can start being just a tad more productive each game, you can really start feeling the energy towards a playoff run, not just towards making the playoffs, but towards making a playoff run, because he's going to have to be more than a game manager per se if they're going to go deep into these playoffs.
All right, Jay, thanks. Thanks, Mary Kay. Jay is right. We've talked about this and just his play getting a little better each week. And yes, you don't want him to turn it over. That's the key. You're going to need him to play better. But with the Browns defense, it's because you look at the AFC right now, guys. We'll get back to the conversation about the Steelers firing in a minute. But because he brought it up, if you look at the AFC, I really don't see a team where I'm like, oh, the Browns can't beat them, right? I mean, right now.
Let me look at them. Right
now, to be fair, we're also not going to say the opposite.
No,
I'm not going to say the Chiefs can't beat the Browns.
They can.
I'm not going to say some of these
can.
teams can't beat the Browns.
Well, I think the way that the Browns schedule it is for this season, like you're going up against Houston, who's really good. You're going up against Jacksonville. So a lot of the teams that you're going to see maybe in the postseason, you're actually going to see them in the regular season. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how they go up against those guys. Now, defensively, we already know that we can pretty much shut down any team.
Right.
Even the Chiefs, as scary as they may be, they can't catch right now. So
they're
the way that
offensively.
the way the defense is playing and our DBs are having those three guys with Ward, Newsome, and MJ3, MJ Emerson. You think you're good. You're like, all right, we can pretty much match up with any of these guys, and that pass rush is going to get there. It's all about, really it comes down to just the development of DTR. If DTR can be serviceable, maybe throw some touchdowns, and not turn the ball over for the rest of the season, then I don't see why they can't go very far in the playoffs and potentially go to a Super Bowl.
Man, I look at it, I watched that game, and I'm watching the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm watching the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, it's not the same Chiefs squad. It's not. When you used to watch the Kansas City Chiefs before, you went into that game telling yourself you better be able to get 35 points.
Yes.
Because if you can get that boy the ball, but that cat the ball back, it's a wrap. Kelsey looks like he's human. He looks like he's still a great tight end, but he's not. I mean, he dropped a couple of passes yesterday.
He is Swifty.
And he put the ball on the turf.
There was so many drops this week. We talk about it with the Browns. The
Well,
Chargers had some terrible
it was
drops.
raining for the Chiefs.
The bottom line is no team offensively looks completely lights out right now. Miami did early, but you look at the last 4 games, they've only scored more than 21 once in the last 4 games.
And so you're looking at, and so that's the great thing about the Browns. What they do in cold weather or nasty weather is, it fits what they do. It fits their whole, the way they're constituted, the way the roster is put together. And when you talk about the defense, it's almost unfair on third downs. Like the Browns on third down, they can give up 6 yards. And they're like, all right, well, if you give up 6 yards and then we give up 2 yards, that's 8. 3rd and 2s for the Browns are tough. Like, teams are like, I don't know if we can run this. I don't know if we can pass it. Especially if it's like 3rd and 4 or more. They're putting their ears back. You got to get creative against the Browns. And the way they control the ball, you're going to start to be like, listen, we got to get antsy for points. We got to really, because 17-3, that's in the second half, that's devastating.
Yeah, the bottom line is I think we all believe the Browns are going to make the playoffs. The difference between the Browns making the playoffs and making a run in the playoffs, ultimately to me, will be about how good a quarterback play they can get. Now, again, their defense is good enough to get them to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Their defense is good enough to keep them in any playoff game. But how far they go will be, is the quarterback play trash? Or is it adequate? That's the difference.
It's very interesting to be in that type of scenario because we talk about Kevin Stefanski as the play caller. Like, everything is fixed. If we get to the playoffs, like, anything they do beyond making it in the postseason, like the success they have, actually comes down to Kevin Stefanski. How creative can you be? You're supposed to be this really good genius at being a good play caller. Can you continue to put your guys in this situation? Can you get that young quarterback ready? Can you get that run game going? Can you get these one-on-one matchups to create these one-on-one
But ultimately, he could call a great game and guys don't execute.
That's true, but
or bad decision-making.
I wouldn't take that out on him, though. But if he's scheming it and it's open, like, that ultimately comes down to DTR, which part of quarterback development is his thing, too.
At what stage, I'm going to ask you guys this question, at what stage would you legitimately start thinking that the Browns have a shot at the number 1 seed? What would they have to do?
The number 1 seed?
What would they have to do?
I think they have a legitimate shot
I'm about to say right now they got one.
I just don't. I think their schedule is not that tough. Listen, it's not. I'm not saying the schedule is easy, but they're not playing. But then again, I say they're not playing any great teams. I don't know who's great. I guess Philadelphia.
I'm gonna tell you when you can make that talk.
Because I was telling my dad. I said, yo. And if they get to be 8-3,
the next 3 weeks, G, tell me if they could be the number, because they play the Browns, Rams, and then that Jacksonville
Broncos.
Broncos, Rams, Jacksonville.
Broncos and the Rams are on the road.
Yeah.
I think they're staying on the road.
They are.
Yeah.
They're staying out there.
If you hit 8, if they beat the Broncos, you 8-3. And DTR looks like he's progressing. I'm like, wow, because that's the first time anybody in this city, that's anybody, I don't care how long you've been here.
Yeah.
It is the first time we've legitimately talked about home field.
Well, the
advantage.
Browns haven't won their division since the 80s.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, I mean, it's
Who does Baltimore play next week? Y'all know?
Chargers.
Oh,
They're
that's
at at the Chargers.
hard to believe the Chargers are 4-6.
It's
Are they?
I mean,
and I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers win that game.
I wouldn't be surprised
No.
if they win it either. They should have won last week if Quentin Johnston caught that
guys,
ball.
there's not many games outside of a handful of teams on the bottom end that you're like, oh, any team can beat any team. Like, I'm saying the Bengals are done, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Bengals beat the Steelers this week.
No.
So here's you want to hear the Ravens' rest of their schedule?
Yeah, let's play the scheduled game
Let's
for the
play
rest
the
of the
schedule
people.
game. All right, this week at the Chargers.
I'll give them a dub on that.
I think the Ravens could lose that game.
I'll give them a dub.
Then they're on a bye after that.
Okay.
All right. Then they're at home against the Rams. I mean, at home, you think they beat the Rams. The
Rams is getting that running back this week too.
They are Kyron Williams,
Yeah.
but
He's on my fantasy
they
team.
lost Cooper Kupp.
They did.
Kupp-
Is he
Kupp
out for?
I don't know how long he's out for. He's a little banged up right now.
You know the doctor that does our doctor reports for when people hurt. He did a thing on Cooper Kupp last night, and he's just like, I don't know what it is. I think he has like an ankle fracture or something because.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well, if he has an ankle fracture, he's going to be done for the year.
He said it was the same ankle as the one he got surgery
Yeah,
repaired.
and he's getting old. I mean, he's like 31, 32.
The Rams have got it. After this season, I think they're gonna turn a whole new tide.
But then listen. The last. So then after that, they're at the Jaguars.
Tough.
At the Niners.
Tough.
At home for the Dolphins.
Tough.
And at home for the Steelers.
Still tough.
I mean, that's a pretty tough
Steelers beat the first time.
That schedule is brutal.
The only game that
we
they're
don't
gonna,
play the Dolphins.
No.
And we got the Jaguars at home. They got to go at Jacksonville.
And the Niners are back to being the Niners.
Yeah, the Niners look healthy.
And,
With an F.
and obviously the Steelers are never a pushover. We know that. The only game they're going to be a big favorite is the home game against the Rams. They'll be a touchdown favorite in that one. Every other game, they'll be no more than a 3 or 4 point favorite, or they'll be a dog probably in San Francisco.
So can we get the Dolphins? I believe the Dolphins are 7-3, right?
Yeah.
So can we get the Dolphins schedule?
The Dolphins remind me, like they've tailored down, but they reminded me of the Chiefs at the beginning of this year.
They did.
Like when I played the Chiefs when I was in San Francisco, it was like, what in the world is that? Like that's how the offense works. Like they would get down the field and run stuff, and they would score so fast that you'll be like, what just happened?
All right, I'm expecting the Dolphins to win 4 in a row, but then their last 3 are tough. But here's what we got.
Okay.
Their next 4 games: at the Jets, at the Commanders, Titans at home, Jets at home. I expect them to
I
win all
agree.
4.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not guaranteed.
Unless
they
Tim
should win all 4.
that puts them at 11-3.
Okay.
Well, if Tim Boyle is that guy, then you never
Their
know.
last 3 games are tough. They got Dallas at home,
That's a tough one.
at the Ravens,
Yep.
Buffalo at home.
That's a tough.
I'm not giving up on Buffalo.
No.
I'm not writing them off.
No. I would, but that's a tough. That's schedule.
tough.
But they look like they're gonna get 12 wins.
Yeah, I mean, they're in good shape to win 12 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the Browns to win, I mean,
Yeah.
So you got so those are the two.
I think the Browns can win 12 games, though.
I do too.
Now, I don't know what the tiebreaker would be.
Let me look at their schedule.
Now the Chiefs.
I'll bring up the Browns
Yeah,
schedule.
what's
I
the
think
Browns
these other
schedule?
teams. So the Browns, obviously, Broncos on the road, Rams on the road,
Win.
Jaguars at home,
I like
Bears
that.
at home,
Should be a win.
at the Texans,
Should be.
Jets at home, at the Bengals.
That's
Burrow not playing that game. That's a huge difference.
If you had Deshaun Watson,
by the way,
y'all might have won out.
I'm about to
If you
say.
had Deshaun Watson, after
especially with Burrow not playing,
yeah, especially with him out the year,
the hardest game is the Jags.
you got him at
But
home.
that's
though.
at home. The Texans is certainly not
It's
hard.
gonna,
It's not
be a
easy.
very. I think that's an upset.
I mean,
I think
the Rams even though it's on the road, the Bears and the Jets
for some
should
odd
definitely
reason,
be wins.
For some
definitely
odd reason, the Rams really bother me. For some odd reason,
I think
you know why? You know why the Rams bother me?
Yeah.
Because of how they're doing it. Because they're staying out on the West Coast in L.A.
You don't like that?
I don't. I mean, not really.
I like it with this team because I feel like this team is really committed.
These still.
Yeah.
I understand.
Teams,
I understand what you're saying, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, these are still dudes in their mid-20s.
Yeah, I hear you.
Now there's one team left. The one I think that those are the 3 teams with 3 losses. The last
we got to
one,
look at Kansas City.
Kansas City is the last one.
Yeah.
Man, the Browns.
Well, and Jacksonville.
They unpredictable.
Jacksonville. How many got?
Jacksonville 7-3 also. Here's Kansas City at the Raiders, at the Packers, Bills at home, at the Patriots, Raiders at home, Bengals at home, at the Chargers.
I've got Jacksonville right here if you guys want to hear this too.
Yes. Go ahead, Jacksonville.
You've got at the Texans, at home against the Bengals, at the Browns, versus the Ravens at home, at the Buccaneers, versus Carolina at home, and then at Titans.
Ooh, I don't like their end schedule is easy. Those last
they got 2 or 3 more losses.
It's gonna play itself out.
The schedule game's fun, but it's way too early.
It's a little too early.
The Browns are in that conversation, which is a lot of fun.
Yes, they need to get to about 9-3.
Yeah,
if they get to about 9-3, you'd be like, okay, the Browns.
That's why I said after the Jacksonville game, I will know
because
what it is.
That's a head-to-head matchup.
I feel like if they take care of business against Denver, they'll beat the Rams. I feel very good about them. I really feel good about them winning these next 2 games. And I think that Jacksonville game is going to be tough. That's going to be a battle. Jacksonville's defense has gotten better as the year's gone along. Trevor Lawrence has been a little up and down this year, but he's a good player.
He played well last week.
He did. They got good talent at wide receiver. They got
very sneaky talent at receiver.
Yeah,
Christian Kirk, remember when he got made that
we were all killing him.
Yeah, and he like their leading guy.
He's been great.
Calvin
Ridley's good.
Good tight ends.
You know, Evan Ingram's a good tight end.
ETN catches the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah, I mean, they just a really solid. They're a solid team.
Browns will have to earn it. Browns, if they get,
if
they get the first overall seed, which is, I can't even believe I'm saying that.
Yeah.
If they get that, they would have had earned it because they got some games. Even this Denver game is not.
You're right though. If number 4 was back there, we'd be like, oh yeah, they gonna win out.
Yeah, especially the way he was progressing. But it is what it is.
Right.
They're gonna have to win on defense, not turning the ball over. One thing they're gonna need, the running game's got to be better. I mean, we've debated how good the running game is.
No, and
it's got to be better. It's certainly got to be better to win consistently than it was last week.
Because them holes that he's missing or the cuts that he's missing, they need those yards.
Play Pierre Strong. Listen.
Apparently, let me cut you off, Tyvis. I apologize, but we have a guest, apparently.
Oh.
We're going to go down to Town Hall.
Yeah, we're getting them ready right now.
In just a moment, we're going to speak with a Browns defensive back. You want to guess who it is?
Grant Delpit.
Incorrect.
She's from Northwestern.
He is from Northwestern.
But it's not Greg Newsome.
It is Greg Newsome.
Oh, okay.
We're going to go down to Town Hall. We're going to Jay's going to start the conversation with Greg Newsome, and then he'll send it to us for the rest of the interview. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, before we send it to Jay, I just want to remind you guys one last time for today that you can score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you guys have been thinking at all about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. You guys can go visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL.
All right, let's send it down to Town Hall. We've got Browns cornerback Greg Newsome. Here he is.
Yeah, Adam,
Jay.
thank you. Thank you very much. Greg, first of all, before we talk about the event, I have to talk about your state of mind after beating the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday. It's a great time to be a Cleveland Brown, isn't it?
Oh, man, it's amazing. I just think it was the ultimate team win. A 13-10 game. Obviously, as fans, I know everybody was kind of crazy. We were too, but it felt amazing to win that game.
The camaraderie in that locker room seems to be at an all-time high. Mary Kay Cabot was here a short while ago. She's covered the team for over 30 years. She says this reminds her of the Bernie Kosar years teams where they were so close-knit. Compare the camaraderie and the just general vibe that you guys have to some of the other teams that you've played on, and also what difference that could make in the long run?
Yeah, the camaraderie is amazing. Obviously coming out to an event like this, you see a bunch of the guys around here outside of the building. We're always together. Greenbrier, we're always together. OTAs, everyone came right away. It wasn't a guy that didn't come. So we built a great camaraderie. And if I can compare it to a team that I've been on, honestly, it's probably my junior year at Northwestern, where, we weren't the most talented there. We're really, really talented here. But, just how close we were able to carry ourselves to a great season. So it's been amazing.
Our resident defensive back, Tyvis Powell, is back in the studio. He's dying to ask you a question. By the way, he's been blowing the Greg Newsome horn for 2 years. So, Tyvis, go ahead. The floor is yours, my friend.
Hey, G New, man, what was it like getting that first pick six, well, actually your first career NFL interception, and then taking it to the house? What was that like, man?
Man, it was amazing. All I say is, man, all glory to God. At first, I didn't know I was going to be able to play. Honestly, I was hurt the whole week. I really didn't practice too much, but when I seen that ball in the air, it just slowed down, and I was like, this is the perfect time in a huge game for me to get my first pick six.
Greg, what's so crazy is I've been out here telling people all week, all year, like it's something different about these dudes. Like, I look at other teams that fold when their quarterback's not in. You've played with multiple quarterbacks, but it just seems like this defense is really on another level where it don't matter what happened on the offensive side of the football. The defense is just got a different mentality where it's like, we just not about to let y'all get no points. How is it playing with that much confidence? And are you guys playing with the most confidence that you've seen since you've been here?
Yeah, man, it's amazing. The confidence we're playing with, I think it honestly starts with Jim Schwartz. Him coming in, letting us know, this is what we're going to do. We got the best corners in the whole entire NFL. We're going to play man. We're going to lock them up. We got the best D-line, best front seven in the NFL, so we're gonna play tough. So he doesn't allow us not to be like that. And, he's given us so much confidence that, even if we were to mess up or something, we're not worried about getting yelled at or getting blamed or anything. Just the confidence that we're playing with is at an all-time high. And like you said, I feel like there's not a game where we're ever out of the game just because, the way we play defense around here.
Greg, obviously the defense has played fantastic this year, but I want to give a little love because the punter and kicker never get much love. How big have both your punter and kicker been to the success of this team?
Nah, for sure. Corey has been doing a great job just flipping the field, and I don't think too many fans, that's just fans that don't really know the game of football too much, really realize how big that is for us as a defense. When he's able to flip the field, and we can start, drives at the 20 or at the 15. That's huge for us as a defense. And then obviously with Dustin, if you guys watched me, I already knew he was going to make that kick. He's been so crucial for us. And a lot of our success this year has to do a lot with him. So the punter and kicker combo that we have around here, they're doing amazing right now.
Hey, Greg, one of the things to watch has been the fact that this team's defense can lead the way. We talk on the show every day about how it seems like we've left the offensive era in the NFL. Even last night, if you watch the Chiefs and the Eagles, they put up points, but they weren't breaking pinball machine records like these offenses used to. Do you feel that there's been a noticeable shift to the defensive side? And with that in mind, where it used to be the last 10 years, you couldn't win a Super Bowl without a great quarterback. Do you feel that that's changed this year, and you can?
Yeah, for sure. I think you can even just tell by how teams are built. A lot of these teams are for sure in their D-line, for sure in their secondary, like the Eagles. For them to draft, in their first 2 picks of the first round, 2 defensive players, like that shows you already a Super Bowl team is drafting defense. Like they know, because at the end of the day, an offense may not be doing well. That's just how offense works. But if you have a great and elite defense, they'll be able to get you out of any situation. So I definitely think it's turning into a defensive game for sure.
With that in mind, what's the ceiling for this team?
I feel like there is no ceiling. We take it one week at a time, obviously, and just keep trying to perfect our craft each week. But as long as we're tight and as long as we're playing together, we have no ceiling.
Bull, what do you got?
Greg, last thing. Myles Garrett sets the tone last week. The first play on defense, he had what should have been that was a sack. They blew the call on the field. It should have been should have been a safety. It was a sack. How big is that when the leader on the defense, and Myles Garrett, goes out there and blows up the Steelers on the first play? How much does that fire everybody else up?
Nah, for sure. That gives us so much confidence. Obviously, when the best player on your team and the face of your franchise is making plays like that, it's amazing. And, Coach Schwartz said before the season, Myles, in order for us to be this elite defense we want to be, we need you to play your best football. And honestly, I don't think there's not just a defensive player. I don't think there's a player in the NFL playing better than Myles Garrett. So, if I had an MVP vote right now, I think it would go to Myles Garrett, the way he's playing.
We talked about that yesterday. Traditionally, that doesn't happen. But the way he's playing and the way he's leading this team, if it's ever going to happen, particularly because all these super quarterbacks have dropped down. Josh Allen, Burrow's hurt. Mahomes has not been Patrick Mahomes. If it's ever going to happen, maybe this is the year. Listen, we know you got to go because you got to feed the folks. But I want to ask you a little bit about this event. I see you and a lot of your teammates out here giving time on your day off to come here and help the less fortunate. What does that mean to you?
That's what this football stuff is about, honestly. The X's and O's is fun, but just me having a platform to be able to do stuff like this for the less fortunate is amazing. So, any events that I'm able to come and help out with anything, I just love to do it. So, shout out Town Hall. I'm just grateful that, each year they do this and allow me to be a part of something special.
Greg, shout out to you and all of your teammates. The city of Cleveland is firmly behind you. I hope you feel that. Go get them the rest of the way, and no limits, no ceiling.
For sure. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Greg.
Yep.
Pull back to you.
Thanks, Jay. Good stuff from Greg Newsome. We're hopefully going to have some other players, too. We're working on a couple of things. We may have Kareem Hunt. We may have Denzel Ward, your guy.
He going to big time us. No, he better not big time us.
Hey, these guys, they're happy to unfortunately in the past, by the time we get to this event, the Browns would have a bad record many years.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody wanted to talk.
Ducking.
But right now, everybody wants to talk. They're good.
Listen. Hey, come on here. Hey, listen, this is a tremendous opportunity, Battle on the Bull. Thank you for having me up here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just want to give blessings to all the Almighty for having me here, being able to deliver these meals. And let's talk about the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, right.
Like, you be like, what? Oh, for real?
Yeah. That's right.
Y'all ain't right, man.
They be
Y'all
up,
ain't right.
boy.
Yeah.
Look, they be sounding good.
It's hard answering them questions, man, with stuff bad. I can't lie.
Yeah.
You're like, man, listen, I don't know what you want me to say.
And then we find
work.
Then we find the Tyvis guys, because it's a 4 or 5 Tyvises on every team.
Right.
They come to him and ask him the questions
Yeah.
about, hey, what about Richard Sherman?
That's interesting because, so yesterday I did that. We had the same event in Columbus, and it was the Buckeyes that was there. I was there because, as y'all know, I do the collective thing. We had a couple of athletes there, and I was there to, just to be with them, make sure everything goes smooth. Well, I ended up doing the event, and the news people came in, and they're like, let's interview you, and I'm like, them the players there, but I guess come on, let's roll. And it was it was a good event.
Tyvis pulled his trophy out of his back pocket.
Nah, but it was
I knew I brought this for a reason.
I don't never wear the rings, but it was just it was wild. Like you got Travion, Denzel, all these dudes is right here. You want to talk to me? Okay.
Yeah, but that's what you out here winning.
All right.
That means you up 10.
I feel like the Browns it used to be you'd grab Joe Thomas, Joe Schobert, Joe Hayden,
Josh Cribbs.
And Josh Cribbs,
Yep.
yes.
That was a collective 4. They used to make that thing sound good. They'd be terrible as hell.
And in recent years, it's been like Bitonio, Teller talks a lot.
Yeah.
Who else talks a lot? That they'll always be willing. Anthony Walker, kind of the last couple of years.
Yeah. Tayshaun Gibson used to talk a lot.
Oh, I used to love Tayshaun.
Yeah, he used to talk a lot.
Anyway. So that's
DeQuell talk.
DeQuell was.
They used to. They had the nicest dudes in the world. Like you talked to Joe Hayden, DeQuell, and Joe Thomas.
Yeah.
They be doing something and they be real nice. I'm like, man, that has to hurt. It has to.
All right, we'll maybe go out to town hall a little bit. For now, guys, there's been a lot of talk about how the Browns have struggled in Denver. And I got to say, and maybe this will be the exception, but I think what we've learned this year is that Browns history doesn't matter anymore, or at least doesn't matter right now. They don't beat the Steelers. They beat the Steelers. They don't beat the Ravens. They beat the Ravens. They don't win games like the Niners. They don't win games like they did with the Colts.
They don't get calls. They don't
get calls.
They be getting a lot of calls.
Yeah. Now, yes, is the Browns' history in Denver bad? Yeah, it's freaking horrendous.
What is it?
The Browns won their first 2 games ever in Denver in 1970 and 1972. Since then, they've gone 2-13 in Denver. However, they did win in 2018, beat Denver 17-16. They did lose in 2019, but they've only played in Denver twice in the last decade, and they went 1-1. So who cares? Yes, it was a house of horrors. We know what happened in 2 AFC championship games. We know what happened quite a bit in those days. I get it. That's irrelevant now, G, to me.
I think it is. That's something that we deal with. That's just what we have in the pit of our stomachs. But it's a new day. I mean, Greg Newsome, and like we said, we make fun of it a little bit. But those guys, you can't tell me that those guys, when they're not handing out, those plates to the less fortunate, that they don't have a vibe about them like, man, look at us, man. We out here doing our thing, and we about to go smash the Broncos. I look at the Broncos defense. The Broncos defense has been getting takeaways, but besides that,
I think those numbers are a little misleading because of that Dolphins game. They're not that bad.
Yeah,
they've played better since then.
I think they're middle of the road.
They're middle of the road. That's what they are.
And I think they're a middle of the road team.
And they're missing one of their 2 best corners.
And here's the thing I will say.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson will give you some stuff. Russell Wilson, he has that knack for, I want to get outside of the pocket and I want to extend. I want to keep extending, right? But he doesn't understand that he doesn't have that same level of athleticism as he used to have. I've seen him sliding a bunch more than I've ever seen him sliding. But for the most part, his numbers are pretty good when you talk about him throwing the football. But I just think that he has not seen a pass rush like he's going to see with the Cleveland Browns. I think that pass rush is going to be ferocious, and I think they're going to make goad him into throwing a couple of footballs that he may want back. So, to me, I think it all depends on the maturation and how accelerated the process is for DTR. Because if DTR could give you 250 and a touchdown and maybe some yards.
That's a lot, 250.
250 is crazy now.
Yeah.
250 is the new 300. Like, 250 is like, oh, you was dealing.
I'm just looking at the Broncos' last couple of games, which you say they're on a 4-game win streak.
Yep.
And when I look at some of the teams that they beat, obviously the Chiefs is good, but that was like his flu game or something like that, right?
So I'm not taking away from that. That's a good win.
Yeah.
That's a really good win.
And then the Bills have lost players for injury. But when I look at these on the
They beat the Bills?
On the road. They beat the Bills 24.
That's a good win.
This is not going to be an easy game.
No.
They're at home, and they're a pretty good team.
Yeah, I'm not. My point is when I look at the Browns, versus the 4 games that they've played, I think on the complete defensive side, they're healthy with all 3 corners, and they got that pass rush, which you can't necessarily say that about some of these teams that they've beaten. Now, offensively, a lot of these teams are much better than what the Browns are, and I think that's where the struggle will be or the challenge will be. But I think it's that pass rush, the way Jim Schwartz got those guys going, I think that it can become overwhelming for a guy like Russell. Now, don't get me wrong, Russell has played a ton of football. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's a Super Bowl champion. But I think that until you see it live, like people can tell you all about it, you can watch it on tape, but once you see it live, it's like they're different. Like that Browns pass rush is very different, and guys won't be able to just win their one-on-one routes like that because these corners do a really good job of being extra sticky. And I think Russell will have to put it on the line a couple of times. He's going to have to try to make some of those throws that's going to be in tight coverage. And if those DBs is getting their hand on the ball, I think the Browns will buy all the time in the world for DTR to get settled in and have a really good game.
Some of the advanced analytics are not as impressive as the individual stats, but it is what it is. I mean, 19 touchdowns, 4 picks is damn good.
That is really good.
Especially when it looked like he was washed last year.
Yeah,
It looked like he was going down the tubes, and he's he's not elite. I know he's a pretty good quarterback right now, Tyvis. No, you don't want to give him his due.
He's doing well.
And they got.
Can I chime in here too?
He's doing well.
They're 5-5. If they get this win, this really pushes them closer to the playoffs. Especially, I think they'll. Be
that last playoff
They've got
spot
a lot
in the
to play
AFC
for in
feels
this
very
game.
up for grabs. Right now the Steelers are still the 7th seed, and I don't think they're going to the playoffs personally. But listen, Javonte Williams finally seems like he's getting healthy from the what do you have, a torn ACL last year?
Yeah.
They got a good number 2 back in P. Ryan. They got 2 decent, wide receivers.
Judy and Cortland Sutton.
This is a
Cortland Sutton
competitive
been
game.
playing really well. He's
This
playing
is a
really well.
competitive game. I think we all think the Browns are the better team, but the Broncos are no pushover. They're not. They're not playing the Panthers.
Cortland Sutton got 8 touchdowns.
He's been playing well the last 3 weeks.
8 touchdowns. These guys.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize that.
He's been rolling.
8 touchdowns.
He getting
Yeah,
back
that's
to
pretty good.
He getting
That's-
back to
fantastic.
his pre-injury form.
Yeah.
We're locking y'all up though.
This is going to be a good game.
It is.
This is going to be a real. I like this. I don't want the Browns to play a bunch of cupcakes. I want them to be challenged because so far they've risen to the challenge almost every time.
Well, the Browns have overcome so much adversity that when they get to the postseason, it shouldn't be nothing that happens over the course of a game or in a game that they shouldn't be able to handle.
But I like that they're going to be. You don't want to be. It's nice that they have the Bears and the Jets, but I like that they're going to have to play the Jags and the Texans. And this game, and even the Rams and even the Bengals, I don't think will be terrible. I don't know, maybe they will be. But I think those will be competitive games, and I think, you're going to be tested, and that's good.
Do you think, I actually think the Browns, somehow they could, now to get a first-round playoff game, is it correct by saying you have to win your division?
Yeah, only if you don't win your division, you don't get home games unless there's, you could in the next round if there's a bunch of upsets. But
okay, so say all right.
Nowadays the one seed is the only one that gets a bye.
Yeah,
and then 2, 3, and 4, which are the other 3 division winners, get a home game in the first round. If you're a wild card team, you're on the road. Now, if you're the 5 seed, you could end up, if there's upsets down the way, you could end up getting a home game eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty much if you're a wild card team, you usually play on the road.
I think the Browns have a really good. They play really well at home. Especially the defense. The defense to get a home game would be huge, especially with that defense.
Have we ever had since they've been back? We ain't had no. Oh, that thing will be crazy.
I mean, it's gonna be. I can't even imagine what that would be like.
That's
have the Browns went under 500 this season? I don't think they have.
No.
It's a very interesting year.
Can you imagine if they were playing Baltimore in a playoff game here? What that would be like?
It could happen.
But
in
terms of the weather, it would be a big advantage if you played Miami.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other teams that you'd be playing, and Jacksonville too. Every other team you're going to play is a cold weather team also.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put am I forgetting anybody? I mean, Buffalo's cold weather, Kansas City's cold weather. If I guess you could play the Chargers.
If I'm a player, I'd rather play in Miami in the playoffs.
But I get what you're saying. But don't you think Miami having to come here would be a big advantage for the Browns?
Yeah, I do.
That's the NFL. You play in all kind of weather.
But here's the thing. The weather. So here's the 2 things that you can think of.
Yeah.
The weather. Joe Flacco's played in weather, in case he's playing. We found out that DTR has probably the stronger
He has
one.
a big arm, even though he hasn't played in bad weather.
Bad weather. He has a crazy arm, and the Browns have shown that they'll run the ball 50 times.
And Tua, I mean, how much is I'm picking specifically the Dolphins, but how often has Tua played in terrible weather?
Right, like if
not a lot.
And I mean,
between Alabama and Miami,
if you could take Tyreek Hill out of the game and Waddle out of the game because they can't throw.
It's a long way to that.
In Kansas City.
Yeah, well, Tyreek
Hill.
No, he's saying, but we weren't talking about Tyreek Hill because of the weather.
Tua
because
okay. Tua. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm about to say Tyreek.
Now, easier said than done taking Tyreek Hill out of the game.
They'll just he catches slants and goes to the house.
We'll worry about the Dolphins when we have to. I was just kind of bringing
we need to build. We're gonna concentrate on one game at a time.
One at a time.
One carry.
I tell you what, ever since they flashed them Cortland Sutton stats, it made me think about, I think the last time we played them there, didn't he have like a crazy one-hand catch on Denzel?
I don't remember.
He got busy in the Burger
He
King
caught like a
bathroom.
one-hand catch in the end zone on Denzel.
He also had a crazy catch against the Bills.
See, so it will be quite interesting. Obviously, I know Denzel is playing at a high level right now. He'll probably remember that and probably be up for that challenge. So I'm not really worried about it in that standpoint. But hey, if he balling like that, that's something.
This is one of the most memorable seasons I've had with the Browns. It's just because you just don't really necessarily know, which way they're going to play and how they're going to play and the way they're going to win. So it's just almost one of those things where you're just tuning in to see how they perform on that day. And it's a lot of people that have been reaching out being like, yeah, man, this is one of the most enjoyable seasons. Even though we didn't have Deshaun Watson and we don't have Chubb, it's a great atmosphere to watch the Browns.
In a way, I mean, it's a totally different type of team. But when the Bengals went to the Super Bowl in 21,
they had a lot of
I
cats.
had no expectations going into that season.
Right.
Now, there were expectations certainly going into this season. But, again, if I would have told you in the beginning of the year that Deshaun Watson would play 2 good games and then be hurt for the rest of the year, your expectations would not have been high.
No.
And yet the defense has been so good that we now again have expectations. But I think when something surprises you about your team and they're good, maybe in a way you didn't expect them to be good, it makes the ride very fun, which it is right now. They're winning in a way that we haven't seen a lot of teams win lately, which is primarily with their defense. And I think, I know if they lose, whether it's in the first round or they, go to the Super Bowl and lose, if you don't win the Super Bowl in the end, you're disappointed at the end. But I think if the Browns go to the playoffs, and I think even if they win one game and then lost, I still think in the moment, yes, you're going to be depressed, it's going to be sad, it's going to suck. I think you will still look back at this season very fondly.
Yeah,
because of everything that went into it.
Right.
That's why.
I don't
even feel good
like
about
you would think that this season is much better than when they beat Pittsburgh in the play, because although that was the COVID year and people had to deal with that, you didn't deal with losing quarterback, running back, right tackle, third string quarterback coming in, like PJ Walker coming in. It was just so much stuff that went into this season.
They were completely healthy.
And you respect them so much because of the resiliency. It's like, man, no matter what happens to them, they stick together and they find ways to win. Like, that's special.
Yeah. And as exciting as that season was, and Baker played very well,
Yeah,
all due
he
down
did.
the second half of the year, he played great.
We was a third
But
and 12
because
away.
fans couldn't be there, it stole some of the excitement level.
And now they put together so many games where now if you get to 8-3, you're 5 games over 500. Like even if they, and I'm not throwing that out there, even if they lose, I'm the Duke of New York. I don't think I will have as much of vitriol against them losing as I would before, because now it's like, I don't want to say you're playing with house money.
Yeah.
But
to some degree.
You're playing.
You've been playing. Vitriol will be there if you feel like the Browns blew a game.
Yes, if they just gave it away.
They gave it away.
But if they came out like.
They did that twice, sorry. They can't afford to do that. No
if say, for instance, they played the game against the Steelers, I wasn't going to be mad at them. Like, I knew that's the type of game you had to play.
Yeah.
And it's a coin flip type deal.
Yeah.
Like, when you go to Denver and say, the game is close, if they're in every single game and they just can't, get over the top, I mean, that's what happens when you don't have a quarterback, right?
I'm not expecting a lot of one-sided games for the Browns.
No.
I'm expecting every game to be close the rest of the year.
And here's my thing is, what if you, as defensive guys, you have to be in that room saying, hey, if we get these guys down, take 2 scores,
it's a
they're
wrap.
dead.
It's a wrap.
So,
it's a wrap.
It's more emphasis in trying to be front runners. Like, I wouldn't even mind if they just started taking the ball first every moving, because their scripted plays are scripted, so they don't know what you're going to run. Tendencies don't matter.
Right.
So I would, take the ball, get 7 real quick.
Yeah. Right, because you're like, well, I don't care that you get the ball to start the second half. My defense is going to stop you anyway.
Well, the best thing that happened, what the Browns figured out this year is the physicality part. They found out if we just be more physical, a lot of the times, too many people don't want to do that for 4 quarters.
No.
And they're figuring it out offensively as well. Defensively, they came out and set the tone very early. And my last thing is the best thing that happened in this past Sunday's game was that man going 4 for 4 at the end of that game, because it tells you that he got what it takes in such a situation when the game is on the line. He can get it done.
Yeah.
Like it's like getting that number. You've been looking at somebody all night.
Think about how
You've been in
quickly.
club. You got that
Yeah.
number at 145.
You did it. You waited.
I waited. I got that number though.
He sat there and played the eye game.
Right, like you played a dangerous game.
But you won it.
You know I'm over here.
And by the way, have we ever seen a team go from soft to tough this quick? The Browns were the softest team.
Now they're the bullies.
And now they're badasses.
Like that's kind of crazy.
And it all happened with one hiring. Which one do you think is more impact, the hiring of Jim Schwartz or the trade for the kicker?
I got to go with Jim Schwartz.
Jim
but
Schwartz.
It's close.
I mean,
we can't discredit the fact that they added a lot of talent on defense.
They did. A
It's
ton.
not, Jim Schwartz is obviously a big reason why they've been so good, but it's also the talent they have.
But the problem is the main players that's making the plays is the same players that's been here. Miles, the secondary.
Well,
JOK's back.
The linebackers were hurt last year too.
True.
But Juan Thornhill, until he got hurt, was playing really well.
Mm-hmm. But he's not. He's a guy that's not noticeable.
Okay,
because it's not like they don't
the
need
big
him.
impact
Yeah, they're
plays.
not needing him right
Hey,
now.
listen, some of those guys on the defensive line have made some impact plays. Shelby Harris,
They did.
Hurst.
Jordan Elliott's been playing well.
Well, he was
Obo,
here, though.
He was here, yeah.
Yeah, Obo plays.
Obo made some big
yeah.
plays. Yeah, I get it. Their biggest stars were here.
And here, I just thought I can't believe I almost forgot to say this. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot this. So if you get to the playoffs, are we gonna see a playoff Jim Schwartz? So I feel like he got something in his back pocket. Like I feel like he got some stuff.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh, I'm just playing base right now. Like yeah, we could get by on base, but like if we playing a team. Like we get to the Chiefs or we get to one of those teams in the playoffs or the Dolphins, he's like, oh, I got something for that.
Okay.
Like, is there a playoff Jim Schwartz?
Patrick Mahomes and then Tyreek Hill with the Dolphins are such unique players that I would think you would have to.
I'm glad you brought him up, Jim Schwartz, because this is the perfect staff for what this season has been. Because he won a Super Bowl under the staff with a backup quarterback.
Yep.
So like. He already knows
that backup quarterback played great.
Really did, really well. But he knew what to say to his defense. Like, I've been in this situation, and they have no choice to
Good point.
They'll be like, "Oh, that's right, you did." So we gonna listen. We gonna listen to you even more.
And you beat the Patriots when you did it.
Yeah.
And you beat Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and had with a backup quarterback. So you really had the scheme.
Yeah.
It is remarkable that Jim Schwartz was a free agent.
I don't understand.
He wasn't a free agent.
I don't understand.
He wasn't the defensive coordinator with the Titans.
But my boy Maeve said that he had a lot of input.
Well, why'd they let him go? That seems
because he was just a senior advisor or something like that.
All right, we may have one more interview before the end of the show. First, let's send it to Anthony.
Yeah, we're not sure. We're working on getting that all coordinated with McNuggets over here, but right now I'm going to get you guys some Super Chats, and whenever we read Super Chats, it's brought to you by PCC Airfoils. Are you guys looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up. Plus, you guys can get a full benefit package, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more.
All right, we going down there or no?
Let me see. Yep, we're just going to keep going with us for right now, and McNuggets will let us know when we have the next guest. For our members, we might have a very special guest for overtime. We're working on getting somebody for overtime. But our first Super Chat today comes from our favorite, Dank Nasty Ass Master.
Oh!
As Bull drops his...
What is his name?
You never heard of Dank Nasty Ass Master?
Yeah. No.
Dank Nasty Ass Master says, as a biofuels chemist, one of the good things about a Browns W is that if I have to do manure samples on processing on Monday, I'm wearing a Browns T-shirt, and my coworkers can't notice if I spill any manure on myself.
That is disgusting.
We're supposed to believe that a guy who calls himself Dank Nasty Ass Master is a chemist?
Yes.
I fully believe it.
I believe it 1,000%.
Yeah, all right, I'm on board too. Go ahead.
All right, next is from Kenneth. Last time we were the 1 seed was 1986. Also, just think, 7-3, and we lead the league in drops at 18. Imagine if we catch the ball.
We lead the league in drop passes?
I'd have to double check that. I don't know off the top of my head.
About that.
God, dog.
That's a lot of drops.
Well, I mean, if
Guys,
they
we will
did
get to the rest of your super chats in a minute. I'm going to get the guest ready.
Okay, sounds good. Do we have the guest that Mike texted about a few minutes ago? Is that the guest?
Yes, let me get them ready.
Okay, it looks like we are going to have right here before the. Can we go past 1 o'clock? Can we fix that or no?
Yeah, we can make it.
Okay.
The YouTube stream will continue.
Okay, we are going to go past 1 o'clock. We're going to interview Kareem Hunt. There'll be no overtime today, I think. The overtime will be our interview with Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
So we got Kareem Hunt coming on live from Town Hall. No overtime today because we'll keep going here a little bit.
Yeah, we'll just keep the live show going.
All right, let's go. Let's go back to Town Hall. I think Jay's got Kareem Hunt. Let's see what we got. Jay?
Hey, Adam. Yeah, we do. Standing by with Kareem Hunt, and I know that you walked over here with a huge smile on your face. It must feel great for you to be back in this space as a Cleveland Brown, but this time 7-3. Where are you as an individual with the way things have unfolded this year?
It's unfortunate the way it happened and the reason why I'm back here, but, it's no place like home. So I have to say I'm grateful to be back on this team. I love this team. I love the Browns my whole life. And the biggest thing is we just got to keep winning. There's one goal. I came back, and that's just to win and whatever it takes.
When you run the ball, you run angry. You run with the purpose, and you're finding the end zone this year. How does it feel to contribute the way you have contributed to a team that's now a half a game out of first place?
It feels great, man, and I give a lot of thanks to the O-line for doing a great job, but one thing about them, I'm telling them I'm bringing it every play. Like, I'm going to, give them everything I have on every carry, no matter, if you whiff on a block or miss a block or something like that. I'll figure it out. Just move to the next guy. I'll try to, make something happen.
How are they doing it with this offensive line? It's incredible.
Man, this offensive line works hard. They don't give up. I feel like our whole team is like that. We're playing for one another, and if we keep that up, there's not very many people who can beat us.
I love it. I know the guys back in the studio are anxious to throw questions out. Go ahead, guys.
Hey, Kareem, you've been in the huddle with Deshaun, P.J. Walker, and now DTR. What have you seen from DTR? Like, what's the different mentality of these guys?
Yeah, so that's a tough situation, just getting thrown in there, and I've seen him, grow over the last couple weeks and just lock in. He attacked the game plan, and you can see a whole different side of confidence from him, and it's just it's exciting to watch because I know he's a hard worker and he gonna give it his all each and every play. Y'all should see him when he doesn't have the ball. He's trying to go throw blocks on people.
Kareem, listen, man, I hope there's a large contingency of people that was ecstatic when you got back on this team. Like, I was salty that you left to start with, but now that you be back and scoring the football on the goal line, I mean, just talk about your nose for the goal line and your mentality down there, because we trying to see 27 on the goal line. In the red zone, that's when you eat short yardage. That's when you eat. We like to see that. What is your mentality, and why? What gets you so riled up about the goal line that has you being a monster down there?
I mean, my mentality is, won't be stopped. I won't be denied. When I get that close to the, end zone or, short yardage, I'm going to find a way to, finish the playoff or, get what we need. And that just comes from, training hard and just, won't quit. I don't know. My willpower is just, I won't be denied. That's pretty much I won't be stopped down there. I don't know.
Kareem, I think the touchdown you scored with 15 seconds left on a fourth down play to beat the Indianapolis Colts, to me, that sums up what the Browns have been this season. Tough, resilient, fighting for everything. What was that moment like, crashing through the end zone on fourth down to pull out that victory against the Colts?
It was for everything. Honestly, it got to the point like, all right, it's all on you. You got one play to get it in the end zone, and you're either going to win or lose. And I like my odds at that point. You know what I mean? I think I like that, and I wouldn't want it any other way. And I'm glad they saw that too. When the game on the line, you know who to give the ball to.
Before we let you go, quickly, the ceiling of this team, where can you guys go?
I think we can go all the way. If we just, stay connected and play as a team and everybody do their job, I feel like it will be insane for us to, throw this away because we have the players to do it.
All the way, Super Bowl. That brings a smile to a lot of Clevelanders' faces. Something else that makes a lot of Clevelanders smiles. What's going on here today? The guys that I've talked to say that they get more out of this than the needy that they're feeding. What does it do for you to come down here, see the need, and feed the need?
It makes me very excited, man. I love being able to, give back, especially being from Cleveland and getting out there and doing stuff like this for the need. And I'm grateful to be able to be in this opportunity, be back home, and, be able to support people. And that's the biggest thing.
Bull has one question before we let you go. Bull, go ahead.
Yeah, quick one for me and then quick one for Earl and we're done. Kareem, how's Nick Chubb? I know you and Nick are good friends. How's Nick Chubb? How are his spirits right now?
His spirits are great, man. Nick's doing good. He's, on the road to recovery and coming back to being, one of the best running backs in the NFL right now. He's locked in, focused, and he's very excited to see us winning and doing this thing and keeping it rolling. Because Nick and I, we played 4-5 years together now. Only thing we want is to win, and that's how it's always going to be.
Earl, wrap us up quick.
Hey, Kareem, most important question you're going to be asked today from one Clevelander to another. 2016, the Cavs championship parade started on Euclid. I tell everybody in here that if the Browns win the Super Bowl, it'll start in Euclid. Am I far out enough, or do I need to go further out for the start destination?
Yeah, y'all need to go all the way out to Willoughby. Yeah, about 25 minutes down the road, till you get to downtown. I think we need to start there. The hometown.
And make it a long parade.
Long parade.
When you've waited as long as this city has waited for that, it can't be long enough. Willoughby sounds like a great starting point to me.
I'm good to go 24 hours straight.
Problem. Kareem, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Continued
Guys.
success.
Thanks,
Keep running that rock with anger and purpose, and we'll see how far this ride takes us. It's been fun.
Whatever it takes, man. I'm gonna give it my all.
There's never a question about that. The great Kareem Hunt, number 27. When you need that yard, he's the guy to go to. Not just if it's at the goal line, but short yardage situations. Give him the rock. He's going to run it angry. He's going to get that first down, move the chains, and keep drives alive. I know you guys talked about it and the excitement that we have as Browns fans to have him back in the community. But I can also tell you from looking at the smiles of a lot of folks here, they're happy to see him and guys like Denzel Ward and Craig Newsome and other Browns that are here on their off day giving of their time to help feed the needy in Cleveland. It's a sight to see, guys. It really is cool. And hopefully we can continue our partnership with them in years to come down here every year and spread the love because it's a great event. We're working on getting Denzel over here. We know we're running out of time and running long. Actually, I'm just told Denzel has just left. So I don't know that we'll have any more from here for now. If not, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.
All right, Jay, good stuff. Good stuff down at this event at Town Hall with the Cleveland Food Bank. This is the time of the year. The weather's getting bad. Nobody should be homeless in America. It's a disgrace as a country that we have that anybody is homeless. But there are great organizations like this doing things they can.
I wonder how many meals they gave out. How many good meals they gave
Jay
out?
said it was going to be a ton.
I'll tell you what, yesterday, man, I was there for 2 hours. I think it goes from 11 to 5. I was there for 2 hours. We fed at least 4 buses of people. Man, it was.
I think Jay said last year it was around 1,000.
Yeah,
but don't quote me on that number.
It was like 4 buses of people, and May was packed. It was a packed house.
That's a good deal, man.
And they get the clothes. They get to pick out the clothes. I was joking with the one lady. She was like, "Look at my jacket." I was like, "Ooh, you in the game?" It was a good time. Good time.
Tyvis, so you again. There you go. There's if anybody wants to get involved, it's not too late. There'll be things going on until 5 o'clock. It's we're just after 1 now. No overtime today because we've got a little extra in the regular show. You're here tomorrow, Tyvis, right?
I am here tomorrow.
So okay. Anybody got what's the plan for Thanksgiving right now?
I'm going back to Canton. So, you know, we sparking it back up. You know, COVID kind of had everybody in their own little specific smaller family region. So this is the first time we're going to get a big one back in Canton. So I'll be doing a little traveling going down to Canton.
Tyvis, you going to be at your in-laws? Or?
I'm being Worcester at my in-laws. I'll probably go there tomorrow after the show, kick things off Thursday. We usually do our, as a matter of fact, my wife got to pick up the honey baked ham, but we get turkey, honey baked turkey. The glazed one on the outside.
By the way, did I tell you I used to work for Honey Baked Ham?
You worked everything.
Everywhere. And in our house, you couldn't just be chilling around. Like, you had to have, like, multiple. Like, even when I came home from college, like, we had. So I used to come home, like, in college, and I worked the Honey Baked Ham with the glaze. That spice. That glaze, boy. Listen, that Honey Baked Ham, people be talking about. My grandmother, no. Your grandmother ain't got nothing on them hams. Them hams get it done.
When you gonna let me come on the barbershop?
Which one?
The one that's on here.
You come on. Listen, you come on tomorrow.
You say that as if he's avoiding you.
You're like,
what
tomorrow. What are you doing tomorrow?
He never invites
Are you on tomorrow? What are you doing tomorrow at 3?
You know what? I actually am doing an interview. That's funny. That's funny that you say that because I'm doing an interview.
This guy got jobs.
It's the week of the game, so you know, people want to talk about the game.
I know. I do.
We will actually talk a little Ohio State, Michigan tomorrow. Thanks to everybody at Town Hall, including Greg Newsome and Kareem Hunt, who came on the show with us. Also, thanks to Mary Kay Cabot, who was down there, and Aditi Kinkabwala, who joined us. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, and don't forget, guys, Barbershop is going to be tomorrow night instead of Behind the Glass, which you had to move it.
Yeah.
And then Thursday, while you're hanging out, you can watch a pre-recorded episode of Behind the Glass with me, Mike, and Earl. So look out for that.
Very good.
Thanksgiving
And
Day.
we will have a Thanksgiving Friday live show in studio. Is it just going to be me and you? Or who's going to be on?
I assumed it was the main three, but I don't know. So we'll find out Friday.
Jay's in on Friday. We'll see you next time. Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.